Welcome, everybody, to the Brother Speak podcast. This is Brother Speak. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Man, before I begin, there's little things that be happening that dudes do on these panels. That listen, you're gonna have to stop telling all your business on these panels to people that you don't know because people will use that against you, especially if you having arguments. Now, I was on Verbal's channel and we was talking about Princella. You know, she's a big supporter of Priscilla and black women, and black women attacking black women gets on her nerves. So Rozzy, he's in the pro-black circuit, he went up there to talk against Priscilla. Yeah, it didn't go too well. So, you know, I guess he was trying to say that it's something wrong with Priscilla, which, look, to me, like I said on the panel, I don't have a problem with her. She's just a black pillar. That's all it is. And if you don't want to follow her thing, you don't have to. And like I said, she goes to the logical conclusion of indifference to what these dudes do, and most women can't do that, and most men ain't gonna accept it because the last thing you want as anybody, especially a man, is for women to find you to have indifference to you. They don't give a fuck about you. That bothers some men. So this message bothers men because it's already hard for some dudes to get anything, and now it's going to get even harder with this message going out. So Rozzy got up there because he's one of the pro-black people. They want black men and black women to come together, and yeah, that ain't exactly Verbal's thing. Like, she's not the pro-black person. I mean, she was, but then she's more pro-black women, which, hey, I respect that. So they got the argument over it, and then she brought up what he told her, like, he's not getting married. He's just he have sex with these women, and then that's it. It is what it is. And she's like, "No, you don't care about black women because you just have sex with them, and then you just leave them." And he's like, "No, I don't leave them. Well, you ain't marrying them." I'm like, "Well, I mean, but they don't want to get married, so well, I'm just fucking them. Well, I'm fucking them, they fucking them. No, they ain't getting nothing out of it because most of these women don't get any pleasure out of it." I'm like, and I'm looking at it, and I'm kind of like trying to say, "Hey, Rozzy, stop talking to her. You're not gonna change your mind. Let it go." No, he still want to argue. "I'm not gonna let you make me into." I'm like, bro, you are not helping. Let it go. Let the shit go. You told her, and again, this came out of your mouth. If you told her this, it's like dudes be confessing to these women, talking about all their business. I'm like, yeah, you gotta learn. Hey, this is the internet, and people will use whatever you tell them against you. This is how they do. And so, especially when they get angry with you, when people get angry, all those thoughts, they thoughts how they hate you and all kinds of stuff, they gonna let that shit come out. You be thinking everything cool, and then they get mad at you, and then now all these secrets that you told this person you was talking to them about, everything's out now. Which I think is sad that you do that to a person. It's like I'm like, dude, if you don't like the person for whatever reason, you don't like the person. Why pretend? I don't like that pretending shit. You don't fuck with a person, you don't fuck with a person. And I don't like that pretending that you like this person. It's that nice nasty shit that people do, and I don't like that shit. You're not gonna throw stuff in my face. You don't rock with a person, you just don't rock with them for whatever reason. Now, as far as the whole dudes having sex with women and all that, I don't feel that is using women because just like we got men that don't want to get married, you got women that don't want to be married. There are women that uses men for sex, just like men uses women for sex. So if everybody's cool with the relationship or situation, then what's the problem? That's not a used situation. Cause I know some women in my job, they just use men for sex. Just that's just what they do. It's not my situation to judge, not me to care. It's just the way it is. And to me, I think that's more honest than dude pretending that they want to be in a relationship when they really don't. He don't want to get married. He don't want to lead women on. If he lets women know what it is and they still want to go, then I don't think that's using women. Now, like I said, using women is to me is these women want a relationship and you just want to have sex and you're using their need for a relationship with you to get what you need. Then that's using people because you getting what you want, she's not getting what she wants. But if she's calling you up for some D and you give her the D, I don't think that's using somebody. Not everybody wants to be in a relationship. So if he's providing what she wants and she don't have no issue, I don't believe that's using people. And I get where verbal is coming from, but at the same time, I don't think she's taking into consideration there are some women who uses men for sex. That's all they want for this dude. Like that's what it is. A lot of women don't, but there's some that do. And probably more than most people think. So hey, even Priscilla's kind of pushing that, which is the indifference part. You use them for whatever it means you want. So I mean, if that's the situation they got. Who am I to say that she getting used or he getting used? Just like with the whole tricking thing and sugar daddy thing. If everybody's getting what they want, there is no robbery. Nobody's getting used in the sense of, well, let's just put it in. Everybody uses each other. We use each other for relationships, friendships, uh, getting stuff from each other, jobs, whatever. As long as everybody getting what they want, what's the problem? So that's just that I wanted to talk about. The other thing that I want to talk about real quick is Fresh and Fit getting demonetized. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, but is it really a shocker? And then they getting kicked out. I'm like, bruh, dude, look at the shit that you've been doing for the past, not even just for the past 3 years, but just this past year. I'm surprised you didn't get demonetized sooner. And probably some people say that it's because it's a political move, and probably is. I wouldn't doubt it. But here's the situation: YouTube is not yours, and this is to all of us content creators. YouTube's not yours. It doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to anybody. So your child can get yanked at any time if they feel that it needs to get yanked. Because at the end of the day, it's not yours. It's not mine. I mean, I've gotten copyright strikes for songs that I played on here. And like that's the thing. You don't own it, you don't control it, and what they want to be allowed on here and what they don't want to be allowed on here is up to them. And it's not like Fresh and Fit is not only off of YouTube completely. They just got demonetized, so they can't make no money. But again, there is this thing called Cash App, PayPal, Zelle. It's not like you can't get these people to don't get money to you. So I don't know why you sit up there crying. They were like, please, please save us, please. I'm like, bruh, listen, if these people really like you like that, they would have been giving money. You got over 1 million subscribers. If just a tenth of them gave you $5, that's $500,000. Now you cannot tell me with the people that $500,000 couldn't pay your crew and everything. Come on, dog. Stop it. Let's keep it a buck. Your audience don't care about you like that. They love to hear your peddle your fucking masculinity, which is really whine to hoes about their OnlyFans and how they should treat the men that they don't desire, treat them better and all that kind of goofy shit. Listen, they want to listen to you yell at these chicks. I'm like, that shit is just lame. That shit is just dudes who can't get chicks. They mad, so Fresh and Fit yells at these women for them. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good on that. You saw what happened when Waka Flocka got on there. Waka Flocka got the fuck up out of there. I'm not about to deal with. Again, Waka Flocka is a dude who's gotten women. He don't want to listen to that crap. Well, he should have never been on there, but you know, Waka Flocka don't. Waka Flocka, he trying to get his name back up out there, and like, bro, nah, bro, this is the wrong place. You could have went anywhere than this shit. But anyway, so at the end of the day, who cares? I'm like, they not off of YouTube. They just can't make money off of YouTube. So they got to go to Rumble, and then you'll see if your audience is really rocking with you, then yeah, they'll go over to Rumble and pay the $5 and everything be culture. But if they ain't rocking with you, you can't even get 10% of your audience to pay $5. That shows you that your show ain't shit. Your show ain't shit. And really, you should have been doing that earlier. You should have been considering securing a website, and so that people can go over there. And you should have been transitioned. You big enough. It don't make sense. You got over 1 million subscribers. You didn't think about transferring, bringing that audience over to there. Now all of a sudden you crying about it now, like, bruh, that's sad. That's what I'm saying. I'm so glad I don't make money off YouTube like that. I don't have to worry about that. I can say what I want. You take this channel down, I'm not gonna give a shit. Like, oh my God, my channel gone. Like, start a new one. If they follow me, they follow me. You know. So that was funny. Not really surprised, you know. But anyway, so let's get to what we really hear about. What you really hear about. I just thought I'd go over little things. So Derrick Jaxn finally spoke. His first interview since the whole Denia thing. Now, we heard from Denia. She talked about her issue with Derrick. She getting divorced, all her trauma that she endured before Derrick, during Derrick. And we heard her side of the situation of their relationship from college all the way to marriage, and then now they're getting their divorce. And they got to go to court. But we never heard from Derrick other than maybe some cryptic stuff, but I'm not following his Instagram. Some people follow it. I'm not following him like that. But I thought that this interview was very interesting because shouts out to the Faith Factor. She did a review on it, and I think Chaos Rain is doing one now, which kind of sucks because I'm like, damn. But part of that is my fault. I wanted to go earlier, but I was listening to Uncut Underground, Ty talking about the whole thing with Larry Elder and all that. So I'm late. That's my fault. I gotta eat that one. But let's get into this. We're gonna do the review again because I don't have my computer. We're gonna listen to the audio. We're gonna go, and I'm gonna stop it when I need to stop it and go from there. Let's see. So this is from Dear Future Wifey. Now I gotta say this: of all the places Derrick could have done this interview at, why you choose the same place that your ex, well, soon to be ex-wife, it did the interview? That's very weird to me. Not to say that this dude was the host of the show was burying him or nothing like that. He was just sitting there letting her speak her mind. But I don't know about going to the same place where your ex-wife was doing the interview. Basically, not so much burying him, but just showing what happened. My thing is, I wouldn't even done this at all personally, because again, you got a court case coming up. You filed for divorce. Well, last thing you need to be doing is trying to get your side out. And it's not like everybody was Team Danae, because trust me, I've seen like some of the videos. It's not like everybody's like, man, Derrick's this horrible person. We feel sorry for Danae. There's some women who felt sorry for Danae, but then there's other women like it ranged from, well, this bitch knew what she was getting into. I don't feel sorry for this chick. They felt sorry for the man, but she knew what she was getting into. So it's not. And the other one woman said, I don't believe nothing she talking about. I don't believe nothing. Because one woman was saying, oh, she's a narcissist. She was mistreating him. I'm like, wow, this. And it also didn't help that Daenerys now having her own, doing her own counseling sessions and stuff like that. And everybody looking at her like, ma'am, you ain't even healed yourself. How are you going to tell anybody how to deal with infidelity when you was just constantly taking doing accepting infidelity for years? Even before you were married, you was taking infidelity and being what do you call that? His side chick. It's like, maybe not you, but I get it. Everybody gotta make a grip. It's not me. I see what it is, but I'm just gonna tell you, if you pay any type of money to listen to that chick, you a sucker. But anyway, again, I wouldn't have done this interview, but I guess Derrick, and I guess he has a show coming up, and I guess he want to save his image, which really didn't need saving. It's not like everybody was just not everybody was Team Danae. Yes, you probably lost the subscribers, but for the most part, you were slowly building back up. Why do this interview? But I guess he thought that this would be a good idea. I don't know. Not me, but let's listen to this.
Again, that's kind of whenever she found out through the videos and stuff like that. Now, how she told me she found out, I'm not sure exactly if this is it, but she went and got a new phone. It was logged into my Google Cloud because we hadn't logged into each other's email, and that allowed her to see everything. And I'm like, again, I'm kind of freaky. So I was recording a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was just recording a lot of stuff. I like to see it or whatever. I like that better than porn, to TMI. But
yeah, you say you like to see yourself.
I like it.
Yeah, a lot of guys like to see themselves. Like that's a thing. I know I recorded myself. Now I long deleted it because I know, especially now in 2023, like your phone, if you're not careful, it will automatically load stuff to Google or iPhone, and anybody can go to the iCloud or the Google Cloud, and anybody can hack that shit. It was like, nah, I can't. I'm not gonna put myself out there, and I'm not gonna put my ex who I recorded out there either. It's not a good dude. But let's continue with this.
To myself, I'm inspired by me in that regard. So she saw all of that, and regardless of how she found it, man, I just was like, it's like, what the F am I thinking? She's pregnant, and she had to see that.
Love is a treasure chest.
Okay, so that's just a setup for that. Sorry about that.
But once opened, our hearts become vulnerable.
I went back to Vegas. It was this guy. He appeared as a friend. Sure enough, it led to the infidelity.
Man, people been saying, when are you gonna come on the podcast?
When I'm gonna come on any podcast. Recently.
So what made you decide to go do it?
I'm not really big on coming and doing interviews and talking about myself, but this one is a little bit different because it involves, things that kind of hit closer to home. So I felt like I could contribute something to the conversation. If it's going to be had, I think it's best if it's had with both sides of the story, and one day whenever my children do see mommy and daddy talking about this, I want them to see where we both stand and hopefully how we both resolve things. So that was it, man.
I'm like, okay, bruh. I wanted to get my side of the story. Bruh, I don't think you really need to give your side of the story. Really. I don't really think you needed to give your side of the story. Now, I do have a dark theory of this, and I don't know, maybe somebody would see this, but I think I could see this being like a Beyonce and Jay-Z type thing where remember it was found out that Jay-Z cheated and she made an album and he did his press tour about he cheated and stuff like that. And everybody's like, yeah, Beyonce, you should leave him. You leave him. He's a piece of shit. I would leave him. Blah, blah, blah. Boy, they made a killing off these women, bitter chicks. They were raking in that door for that album. And guess what? You goofy chicks, keep it a buck. Beyonce ain't leaving. With them together, she's a billionaire with a B. Billionaire with a B. You think she's gonna leave all that? No. No, listen, Beyonce knew what she got with Jay-Z. She know the game. She know her daddy. She know the game. She been in the business. She know who she got. This is the whole thing that Priscilla was talking about. Listen, you know what you got. Work with what you got. Beyonce know what it is. They made a killing off bitter chicks because they bitter. Because, oh my God, it hurt I got cheated on. Beyonce, you need to leave. Beyonce like, and give her this money? You got me fucked up. And leave my husband? Well, we make more money together than apart? Are you serious? Fuck, no, we're going to make money off you bitter bitches. And that's what they did. They made so much money on these bitter bitches. And she stayed. Meanwhile, these bitches would leave. They would leave, break up their home, probably losing a ton of money. Meanwhile, Beyonce is sitting there living with that money. She know what she got. She know what it is. She ain't gonna break up that happy home, aka that big money, that status. Nah, she ain't gonna do that. And like I said, Jay-Z, hey, Jay-Z is Jay-Z. They seem to be a happy couple. Or it's just a business arrangement. It's just business. It's what it is. Again, marriage is a business and it's for love. But you can't make it one or the other. It's got to be both. And if it's not both, it's going to fail. And I believe that it is both. And she's like, well, I may not like this guy. Yeah, I know he's going to mess around, but guess what? This is where the money is. I know how he is. I know the business that I'm in. So I'm going to stay. It is what it is. Now, I'm thinking this is a thought, and it could be true. It might not be, but this is just my theory. She goes on this show. She tells her side. Now, she didn't quite bury him, but she didn't put him in a favorable light. So now he comes in, tells his side, and you know, so now he kind of gets redeemed, and it's not enough where just the well, we'll see through the interview. I'm thinking that he's going to do enough not to hate, but to get the sympathy. And when he gets that sympathy, the women gonna come back like, oh, I can understand why you would do that. Yeah, she was fucking loony. Listen, like, remember when this first all that came out? A lot of those women was like, yeah, he should have cheated. Look at her. So I think he's playing to the crowd. Now, personally, again, you got a court case coming up. But here's the other thing. With when you file for divorce, you don't have to go to court. If you just don't go, you can file, pay the money, whatever. But if you don't show up in court, they'll just throw it away. I've done that twice before we finally separated. All you have to do is not show up. And if you don't show up, the judge is just going to throw it out. So, and I mean, I don't know. Now, I know he filed in Texas. I think she filed in Georgia. Now, I know in Texas, it's about $250. I know I paid about $250. So it's not really a lot of money to file. All you have to do is just put in your paperwork. It's not really that much. So $250, you can balance the, you know, she tells her side, get the people talking. Then he tells his side, get the more people talking, get the women more sympathetic, and you know, it brings interest in the show. They get more money. I'm just saying. She's doing her class. They getting more money. They all of a sudden they get back together. She forgives him. Blah blah blah. Listen. I would not be surprised if that happens. A lot of marriages are business. Is business, and we keep the money here. Hey, more money for the children. It ain't like they gotta be together like that. All they gotta do is put a united front for everybody, Instagram, all that. But then she do her thing, he do her thing. They done it before. But let's continue. That's just my thought theory of it. But let's go. Let's hear him talk.
You say mommy and daddy. So your ex-wife or current wife, I know y'all going through whatever y'all going through. Danae was on the podcast. A lot of times people, when I did the episode, I was laughing a lot on the episode. She has this funny wit. She has this I said this little Seinfeld humor.
Yeah.
Was that something that attracted you to her at the very beginning?
Yeah, she had a sense of humor since the beginning, man. You
Really?
wouldn't think it because she's kind of an introvert.
Right.
So she doesn't feel comfortable talking to new people often. At least she didn't. Or in big groups, but like once she gets comfortable or when she feels like she can trust you, she opens up and she's hilarious.
And so that's what happened in my pre-interview with her. I was talking to her. I was like, this girl is hilarious. This girl is funny. So we did on the episode. A lot of people's like, they're talking about serious stuff and they're laughing about it. Why are they? And she was like, Lateris, if you weren't laughing, I wouldn't have been able to do no 2.5 hours of an interview with you. It'd have been too heavy. I like the fact that you got my humor. And I said, I bet you that's something that Derrick found.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you got to. Sometimes with serious topics, you do have to laugh at it, especially when you're talking about stuff that you probably done that might have contributed to the problems that you have. Sometimes the best thing is to laugh at it. I know I do, like with some of the bonehead decisions I make. You just laugh at it. And it's easier to do that. And some people wouldn't understand that, especially when you're talking about the stuff that she was talking about. And I can see how that would attract someone like him. Because, she don't really take stuff serious like that. She's really not the, real serious person.
Attractive in her at the very beginning.
Among other things, man.
Yeah.
So
We said other things like what?
Man, first off, when I first saw her, all I knew was what she looked like.
Right.
So pretty face, nice shape, all that stuff. But I like that she was kind of like me in terms of like when you look at her, she's not the stereotypical thick, cute black girl. At least, this at 19 years old.
Right.
And when people looked at me, they felt like, he's a jock. And, I think you said that in the interview, matter of fact, which is not bad. But, at the time I was fighting a lot and stuff like that. But
you said you were fighting a lot?
Yeah, man. I was just, knucklehead, man. It's 19 years old. But beyond the surface, though, I'm a lover. I'm kind of soft. I like R&B music. I read romance novels at this point. I write poetry.
You was doing that at 19?
19 years old, man. So, like, that version of me that's like, okay, it's not what you see is not necessarily what you get. It's the exact same thing with her. She's not stereotypical. She's like Taekwondo and, Justin Timberlake and stuff you wouldn't necessarily think, man. But all of that is what drew me to her. It's like my authentic self just felt safe and at home with her.
How do you feel today? I want to check on you as a man. How do you feel as a man?
I feel really good, man. Better every day, but I feel like there's a lot of gratitude these days.
A lot of people wouldn't be able to identify with what you may go through on an emotional standpoint, especially have created a platform as large as you created, and then feel the world turn on you. How did you internalize that?
Honestly, man, being everybody's favorite ain't really been my portion my whole career. I mean, at some point, now it's more legitimate because it's behind something I actually did. But in the very beginning, I knew pissing some people, I'm trying to talk crazy. No. Pissing some people off was going to be a price I was going to have to pay.
You knew that at the very beginning?
Very beginning. And, before all...
Yeah, when you're telling it's all dudes' fault for some of these women bad decisions, yeah, I can see why dudes would be pissed off. So now the women are turned against you and the dudes are laughing. Like, so, yeah, we knew he was the shit. Told you, bitches. So, yeah, what do you expect? He knew it was coming, and, good that he know.
There was some, false rumors. At one point, people thought Danae was white because I showed a picture briefly. I posted my baby girl, my first daughter, Marley, and her hand was wrapped around my finger. And it was so light-skinned. They said, he only dates white women. And I lost followers. I'm talking about it was going viral, all the YouTubers. So, honestly, man, since then, I already knew, okay, people online, they're going to have their thoughts or what have you, and you can't see yourself through that lens. So I really haven't internalized that so much.
A lot of times people, I saw my brother, Willie Moore Jr., he posted a snippet of you about the interview that you were doing with him. That's when this dropped, that would have dropped 3 days ago. And I read the comments. It was like, why are you giving this brother a platform? Why would you do this? And all this type of stuff. Yeah. And first, when I read it, I was like, Now, if I do this interview with them, are they going to feel the same way? I was like, no, like you said, it's a more balanced approach. I had Danae on here. It's only fair to have you on here as well. But not even on that. But even in 2020, you checked your DMs. I reached out to you before all this stuff started imploding.
One of the few.
Yeah, and I reached out to you because I always want to have conversations with Black men, because in the from your platform standpoint, the stuff that you were telling and helping Black women with was facts. It was no lies told.
Yeah.
What a lot of men took gripe about is that they're like, oh, not only are you telling the secrets or whatever, but they kind of felt like you were pandering to Black women for your benefit. What would you say about that?
Well, we kind of have this bro code, and it's got us in the chokehold. You know, and the bro code is all about having a man's side no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter if we wrong or what have you. And I think personally it's created a generation of coddled men that can't take correction from anybody, no matter how.
Bro, you were pandering. You was not correcting. You was not correcting no men. Come on, dog. You was not correcting men. You was pandering, bro. Like some of the stuff. Look. Some of the stuff that he said, I could agree with, but some of the stuff, nah, dude, you were pandering. You were pandering. That's what the guys were taking issue to. Look, guys know when they wrong, and they can take correction. Most men, after a few times, after they sit back and listen to, I was wrong. Nah, bro, you was doing more pandering than you were not trying to correct men. You were pandering to women. Stop. Nice try, bro. Cool story, bro. You know you were pandering. Come on. Come on, man. You should be dating single mothers and blah, blah. I'm like, bro, no, calm down. No, that's pandering. You should be dating big women and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, no, stop. You're pandering. Stop it. It's okay. Just say you were pandering. I would be more respected. I would respect them if he just said, yeah, I was pandering. It is what it is. I was trying to get that money, bro. I'm like, hey, I don't have the hatred for him that other people do, as far as that part. I mean, hey, get your money. I mean, I'm just gonna call it for what it is, pandering. And again, he ain't the only one. I mean, hell, Steve Harvey was making a killing doing it, just like he was. And then been others. We see what it is. So
Soft it is or balanced it is. So when I'm saying all of this, of course there's different layers to it. Some of them think, oh, it's because he wants vagina, because he wants money or what have you. But man, I was raised by a single mother around two sisters. Naturally, I lean towards the woman's point of view on things. Anything else will be disingenuous. And it's not that everything that I'm saying is necessarily right, but it's how I see things. And then if you take from that, just say, your interview with Danae, you were speaking in a way that was protective as her brother, empathetic. You was calling wrong. That wasn't you pandering.
Right.
Per the situation that you're speaking on, this is the truth.
Right.
But whenever you're telling a truth that makes people uncomfortable or a truth that's not popular, they're going to look for a way to attack you either way it goes.
I can respect that. I asked you, I said, Derrick, if you were given the opportunity to name this episode, what would you name it? And what did you say?
Reap what you sow.
Why? Why'd you say that?
I think whenever I've talked about these different rules and what have you, some people take from it like, okay, he's promoting perfection. We're going to mess up sometime. And my whole MO has been like, okay, if you're going to mess up, you just got to understand that come with consequences. You reap what you sow. Even whenever I started mentioning God, I gave my life to Christ February 4th, 2020. And people were like, oh, you can't bring God into it. I'm like, the God I serve says you reap what you sow. And I'm no exception. Even as I'm saying it, I'm living it too.
Yeah.
And that goes both good and bad. But, I think if we're all aware of that, we can walk according to that instead of thinking we get out because we had our intentions or what have you. For the time I spent in my patterns and the things that I'm not proud of, I gave myself an out. I gave myself excuses. Well, I felt like this and she did that. And I wasn't operating according to where you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Not what's sown by your partner, not what's sown by the circumstances, and your daddy wasn't there. So if I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to really be real, we got to speak with that at the core of the message.
I respect that. Well, let's go back. I want to go back to find out who Derrick was. Who was Derrick growing up? Like you said, I hear you just mentioned that you grew up in a single parent home raised by a mother around sisters. What did that look like growing up? And why wasn't your dad present?
So my daddy just got in a lot of trouble. You know, my mama and daddy was in their early 30s, about my age now. So he's from Jamaica. He had gotten into some trouble, got deported very early on. Actually, when I was 4 years old, but he wasn't in my life since probably age 1. Mm-hmm. So my mama, coming from somewhat of a background that she didn't want us to be a part of, she moved down to Alabama. Me, my 2 sisters, and actually my older brother, but he was so much older, he moved out pretty quickly. And man, I just grew up. It wasn't objectively bad, but the story I created from the dynamic of not only daddy not being there and not having answers, but my mama working 2 to 3 jobs year round, I just felt invisible, you know, because like, again, I was really living with my 2 sisters and they connected to each other a lot better than they did me. Yeah. Everybody loved me, to be real with you. My mama loved me and they loved me. But then when mama get home from work, she need time just to be a human being. She got her own battles. So as she's trying to give herself, she's really stretched thin. And then on top of that, again, she barely connects with me. I'm missing my daddy. So a lot of my childhood, man, was just feeling invisible, feeling somewhat abandoned. Even though objectively that wasn't what was going on, that was a story I had created. And then I acted out to get a lot of attention.
How'd you act out?
School. I was the knucklehead that made it really hard to find a babysitter. You know, they just knew it. Bud was my childhood name. Bud gonna act up. Bud don't like to listen. Bud just needed some attention. And Bud knew it. The world was going to stop if I get in trouble, if I talk too much.
Yeah, I could get that. You know, no daddy. You had no daddy, and like mom, like you said, 2, 3 jobs, and you just want to decompress. I mean, geez, I can understand that to a degree because I know when I ain't have no children, but I'm working at the prison. I come home, yeah, I want to decompress. I don't want to talk, and that's different when you got to deal with. You got 3 kids. Well, I guess technically 4 till the oldest one moved out, and then you got 3 kids, and you know somebody gonna feel left out, and that's what happened in these homes. Somebody's gonna feel left out. Yeah, and that's a lot of times, especially if you got the young kid or the middle kid. One of these kids feel like they not being paid attention to. They're gonna act out. So I mean that's typical. But it does, and when he act out, people gave him attention. That can cause people to be narcissistic. Let's continue.
Get out my seat. If I do this, that, and that, so I got whoopings and all that stuff. But it was really my way of getting attention. So that was pretty much my childhood. Again, my mom was a single mom. She made everything stretch how it needed to. She taught me basically everything up until I got to 10th grade. And that's when I had my stepdaddy, Mr. Lloyd, rest in peace. He came into the picture. And he gave me kind of that blue collar work ethic thing. You know, we roofing, we fixing cars, we cutting grass. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Did you have any sexual experiences at a young age?
No, never before my first, like, losing my virginity at like 16.
About 16. Mm-hmm. So same as me, lost my virginity at 16. When you lost your virginity at 16, what did that teach you as a man? Was that something that your homeboys was encouraging everybody in the neighborhood? What city did you grow up in?
Enterprise, Alabama. Well, between Elba and Enterprise, Alabama.
Enterprise, Alabama.
Shout out to Alabama right now. You know what I'm saying? We ripping kind of hard. Montgomery Mollywop representing. Enterprise, Alabama.
Yeah. And so at 16, you end up giving up your virginity. What was that like? What did that teach you?
That when a girl say, come see my hair at 1 a.m, it probably ended come see your hair. It was to my next door neighbor, and I don't want to go into detail about it, but honestly, bro, I was just happy to be having sex. I ain't gonna lie to you. It just felt like a rite of passage, you know, because at 15, 16 years old, you still trying to define yourself, be accepted. So this whole time, I wasn't necessarily tripping on sex, but when it came, I wanted to perform. And I went in, you know, developed. The reality of how I developed my relationship with sex actually started probably with pornography. That was about 10, 11 years old.
Who introduced you to that?
I don't want to say his name, but my homeboy.
It was a homeboy.
Back in Elba, Alabama.
Damn, 10 or 11 years old? Ooh. Well, he later than I was. Shit, I was 8 when I looked at my first porno. Yeah. I had some weird experiences. And sexual experiences way earlier. Shit. Not to get into it, but yeah. My dealings with sex has been very weird. So yeah, getting introduced to porn at 10, ooh, that is way early. You understand, like 15 or something like that, but 10? Yeah, that can kind of warp your view about sex. So yeah, I'm starting to see there's some problems.
Introduced me. Matter of fact, I think they were just introducing computers into the school. I'm old. Just introducing computers. So this before they had firewall and all that stuff. And man, he told me to go on the website, and I went on the website, and from there, man, I won't say addicted, but I was definitely introduced to something way too early.
What do you remember that doing? Because a lot of people don't understand how pornography shapes the viewpoint of how men see or objectify women.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with, even my sons, you know what I'm saying? They be online, they'll end up something pop up on these gaming stuff. And I was like, hey, this is why you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
No one ever had that conversation with me as a young man. And I had a family member that had magazines, and I seen them a couple of times when I was like 12. I just never did get involved in it. So my question to you is, how did that shape, when you look back, hindsight being 2020, how did that shape your viewpoint on women?
Well, what my therapist taught me was that it actually just created a toxic relationship with sex, period. It became kind of an escape, something to immediately distract me, make me feel less rejected if I ever felt that. So, starting there, of course, it rewires your brain, it desensitizes you and stuff like that. It also miseducates you on what real intimacy is. So it took me well into my adulthood, actually until, I was married, to understand that it's not about performance-based, whenever you're having sex with a woman, it's connection-based. So I went, even having sex in the earliest years, it was about, the theatrics of what I could perform and so on and so forth, man.
Yeah. And it's like I said, I've been saying, a lot of people use sex to cope. Cope that your life sucks or something ain't going on with your life. And a lot of men use sex as a coping mechanism. They're not where they need to be. Even in 15, 16-year-old, they use it as a coping mechanism. Well, at least I could get sex. I may not be getting this job, or I may not have this money, but I can still get these hoes. All it is a coping mechanism. You're coping. And so what happens? You having sex, you're not getting the full pleasure out of it. Because like I said, sex is pleasurable, but it's supposed to be. But it's not meant to be used as a coping mechanism. And when you use it as a coping mechanism, you don't really get the full enjoyment. You're always chasing a high that you could never get. And then you're doing all kinds of crazy shit, trying to catch that high. And you're probably doing it more than you should, because it's not used, like you said, used as a connection. It's used as a means to cope with your life. And there's issues in your life, just like drugs, alcohol, sex. 3 things that fuck dudes up. And that's how I say that people having cope babies. A lot of these people having cope babies because they're not having these babies because they actually want a family. They're having these babies because they had cope sex. And then biology, we already know what biology. They having sex, they being reckless with it because it feels good. You're trying to get that high. Now there's a baby here. And this baby did not come from love. It's come from, we're trying to cope with life. So this child is not here because out of love, out of planning. It's because I'm coping with my terrible life, and poof, there's a baby here. Now we both don't want this. We really don't want this baby here, but it's here now. So, like you said, he was trying to cope with life. There we go.
But especially if there's serious feelings involved, you may leave a woman feeling like a piece of meat.
Yeah.
When she can tell you wasn't even there with her.
Right.
So not only that, in the times where I wasn't having sex, again, that was my easy out. Like, okay, I know I got porn, you know, I got this, that, and the other. And I wasn't on there like 4 hours a day or nothing like that. But I developed some nasty habits of when I'm really, really stressed or hurt or grieving or whatever.
Yeah.
I can do this and then go to sleep, or I can do this to get my mind. I can break the pattern by doing this. So that was pretty much it, man.
Yeah, and that's a lot of dudes, even myself. You know, porn was one of my vices. I mean, I still look at it from every now and then, but that's one of my vices. Porn, erotic stories, those were my vices. I'm more into the erotic stories than actually the porn, but you know, but that is a vice that we tend to, if we're not actually having sex, we're doing porn. I mean, not doing porn, watching porn. Sorry. And like I said, it does make it more for performance than actual connecting. And if you're not connecting with the person that you're dealing with, especially when you're in a relationship, yeah, that's going to cause problems. She's going to feel like a piece of meat. And also, you're going to feel like a piece of meat because she can't connect with you. She's using you for sex. You're going to feel like a piece of meat.
In college, you go to college. How did you meet Danae?
Math class. She walked in, then she had on a black colored button up with black slacks, pretty face, slanted eyes, nice curves. Honestly, it was all physical when I first looked at her. And then I saw her notebook and I saw that she was into music. And I was like, oh, I thought you was like a bottle girl or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I saw some saxophone and stuff like that. So I asked about it. And she had a really soft voice, somewhat of an innocence about her. And we got to talking. I got a number. She didn't immediately answer later on whenever I called. I think I called 3 times. So she don't answer this time. She answered on the last ring. And from there, man, we talked through the night. We did all of the stuff that we think about in high school and college, like on the phone overnight. We were inseparable, man, for like that first 2 months. Just again, people looked at me a certain way, and I was misunderstood. But with her, even being goofy and bubbly, like my personality is naturally I'm usually a jokester.
Okay.
So between that and I had an interest that most guys would think is soft. Again, I love Terry McMillan and Eric Jerome Dickey books. I love R&B. I work out to R&B to this day.
So you know what I'm saying?
On the way home from football games, I was writing poetry. Coincidentally, Dear Future Wife post, man, back in the day. You can search on Twitter right now, put in hashtag Dear Future Wife and Derrick Jaxn. You'll see from 2010. I was on. So all of that soft stuff, she didn't judge me for, though. She loved it. She loved my poetry. She wrote poetry. And one time, this is when I knew it, oh, this is the one right here. I told her when I was younger, we loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Didn't know that's how mama was making that money stretch, but I loved it. It was a delicacy to me.
You better talk about it.
She, before practice one day, she was like, I need to see you. I was like, okay, for football practice. And she ran up to me with 2 sandwiches, one with white bread, one with wheat bread, and said, I didn't know which one you was going to like, but I know you like PB&J.
Really?
I called my mama on the way to practice. I said, Mama, I found the one. Go and get your dress ready. It's going down. This is at 19 years old, man. So we could joke. We
had them at peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Man, look, a sense of humor. Of course, she was sexy and all that stuff, but she
started off tutoring you, right? She said something about tutoring you.
That was the segue. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out how to get close to her.
Oh, so you used that?
I used it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used it. I need help. Now, I did, but that wasn't the reason why I chose her as my tutor. They had other tutors, you know what I'm saying? One girl, she had like a pimple by nose and stuff like that. I was cool on that. I want this one right here.
I want this one.
And so, yeah, man, we continue to connect and talk and be inseparable. And You know, it didn't take long at all. I think within like a week and a half, 2 weeks, we were inseparable, holding hands everywhere, went on dates. I ain't even had no money for a date. I ain't had no money to pay for my own food on the date. And then the first night that I asked her, I think it was on Valentine's Day of 2020, I asked her if she would be my girl. We went on a bowling date.
Not 2020.
No, not 2020.
Yeah.
Shoot, 2009. That year is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
2009, February 14, 2009. I asked her to be my girl. After
Yeah, he still fucking up 2020. You know, like 2020. Yeah, 2020. And that seemed like that was not a good year for you. But yeah, I mean that's kind of similar, like with me and my ex-wife. You know, we connected on we didn't connect on poetry. We connect more on video games because we at the college that we were at. I remember we had some friends, mutual friends, and they were playing Halo in the clubhouse. So I meet them at the clubhouse. I'm playing Halo. I'm like, who's this? And I asked, like, who's this? Oh, yeah, you know, hey, she cool. I'm like, okay. So we just playing Halo, and you know, I guess we got to talking, and it kind of started from there. And then, you know, share similar interests in video games, and she liked poetry, I like writing, you know. So it was, yeah, this sounded like real, like basically, you know, the way some of these women be like, oh, he's manipulating her, he was manipulating her from the get-go, and like, I mean, when you listen to him, it don't sound like he was trying to manipulate her. He took an interest in her, and it seemed very wholesome, like typical college kids. They have similar interests, and it hit from there. I'm like, trying to make him like this. Oh, he was this master manipulator from when he was younger. He just loved to manipulate girls. I'm like, bruh. I'm like, when you listen to him talking, it don't sound like he was that type of guy at first. But again, he had some issues that he was dealing with, and you know that kind of will shape how he was later on. But the way they took from Danae that he was just this master manipulator. He's manipulating her, and like, oh, come on, bro. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I never was like, don't sound like he's a manipulator like that you're trying to make him out to be. But here we go.
for bowling date, she said yeah. Then I asked her to come with me down to the lake so we could pray over our relationship. So
hold on. At 19, you talking about you praying with
I was actually you probably won't believe this. I was actually an average churchgoer, man, at that time. I was doing my stuff, but I also went down to Mount Olive Baptist Church down in Tuskegee and was front row every single Sunday.
I mean, I don't know why that's so surprising. Oh, come on, bro. Do you know how many freaks are in the goddamn church? Like, come on, man. I don't know why he's a he was a church dude. Oh, come on, no. I'm like, bro. Of course he was a church freak. Some of the biggest freaks in church, on both sides, men and women. Hell, shit. My ex was a freak. We both freaks. We were still going to church. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm not gonna tell the story, but let's just say we was doing some things before we went to church, and we still went to church. Yeah, let's continue.
Really?
Yes, I was a devout churchgoer. The year before that, I did a mission trip out in Atlanta, ministering to the homeless down by Peachtree. So, you know, she came in. I was still in church. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to pray. I was so scared.
You wanted to pray over y'all relationship.
I didn't know what I was doing. I never felt anything like that. I never felt like I really was in love. because I had a hard time letting people close to me because I experienced a lot of loss. So I could engage. I'm an extrovert when it comes to meeting people and talking, but actually letting somebody in. She was the very first person outside of my family I had done that with. So, man, we prayed by the lake. I led the prayer. And then we was like, all right, God, I need your help because I don't know what I'm doing.
You said you were afraid.
Afraid.
Because you've never allowed yourself to open up like this with a woman before. You said you've experienced loss. When you say that, you're talking about what? Your father not being present? What are the losses that you encountered?
Mostly my father, man. And then my grandmother was a tough loss. And I learned really with that, and everybody lost somebody, but I learned with that I'm horrible at grieving. I don't do well with that. And I learned later on in therapy is because of how I internalized my father's loss. I had so much meaning I put to it as far as like what that means for me. Like, I'm not worth calling. I'm not worth checking on. I'm not worth doing the right thing so you don't have to be taken from me.
Yeah.
And then my mama, she had a thing that she would do from I'll say up to about age 7. She would tuck me in and say, good night, Mr. B, because Bud was my nickname. And then mama got a boyfriend one time and she stopped. And for me, I mean, it was dramatic, I guess, but I said, oh, she don't love me like that anymore, right? So now I grow up and I'm really guarded. I'm really good at just going inward when I have something wrong with me, et cetera, not letting people get too close. Even girls are like, oh, I can smash, we could do whatever, we could talk, but I'm never going to give you my heart.
Yeah.
But with Danae, none of them guards stayed up. So I was scared because I know, like, I'm feeling something I've never felt before, and I don't want to mess this up. I know she's too good for me. So, like, God, help me become somebody I'm not, because I don't know what I'm doing here.
So during that time, you wasn't the type to be monogamous, was you? You just said
I didn't have no relationship to be monogamous in. I was doing my thing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and so this one, you just said, why'd you want to give it all up for her?
I felt something with her I never felt before, but it was emotionally based. Looking back at it now, it's like, man, I was so unprepared. And for something like that, you don't know how important that role is. You gonna play in somebody's life where you're gonna give them your heart and they're gonna give you theirs.
Yeah.
You hand somebody the keys to your sanity, your physical health, and so many other things. But we were taught later, you know, if you love somebody, you just go be there.
Yep.
And you trial and error.
Yep.
And there's a high price to pay for trial and error, as we both learned.
So as y'all were dating.
And I could feel that. I could feel that because I was kind of the same way. Listen, my ex-wife was my first, like, serious girlfriend. I'm like, that was my first serious girlfriend. And shit, I didn't know nothing. Because, like I said, my daddy didn't teach me nothing about relationships. My mother, all she taught me was don't get him pregnant. But, you know, like the in and out of being in a relationship, nobody taught me. The closest I did was my brothers. But even that, like, my brothers weren't like the best teachers. I mean, they were the teachers on what not to do against women, for women, to women, but not what you should be doing. So, yeah, you know, I'm lost too. Had I had that instruction, I would have been better off. And probably I can't say I'd still be married, but it definitely would have been a smoother ride than what I got, even with the issues that both of us had. It probably been a smoother ride, and I would have been more prepared. But that's neither here nor there. So I can understand him having that issue and praying, and whether people believe it or not. I'm like, I don't detect anything where he's just being manipulative. He's just telling the truth. It's like, I think again, people want to put dispersions on him because of, you know, what he became and what he did to Danae in the marriage. But we still got to understand this dude was like 19 years old, and if you listen to him, he don't know nothing about relationships. yeah, he smashed at 16. Yeah, 6 at 16, but he's still guarded. He don't feel that he's important, and that comes from you don't have your daddy around, and your mom is doing stuff, and that could cause a problem to a young man. He needed that male presence, and I guess the stepdaddy, I don't know, maybe stepdaddy didn't do much. It seemed like his stepdaddy died early, and here's the thing. Yeah, like even with my stepdaddy, like I wish he would have. I wish he would have stayed longer because I probably would be a different person had he lived. So, I have empathy. Now I don't have sympathy. I have empathy, and now I'm listening to it. I'm starting to have a little more empathy for him than I had before.
Each other in college, what that looked like? Were y'all what grade were you in at that time?
I was a sophomore. Second year, she was a freshman.
All right, so sophomore and freshman, second year, and you were like, "This is my woman." Were you exclusive with her during that time?
The first couple of months, I was exclusive. I don't know if I ever had the proper boundaries, but for me, it was like, of course, don't cheat, don't go sleep with another girl. But I would say after that honeymoon phase, the first 2 months is when I can remember. I don't remember the exact thing, but I remember feeling really rejected by her. And I didn't know what was behind that because, okay, I don't have aggressive energy towards a woman except in intimacy. And so how I would express my affection oftentimes was aggressive. Like I want to pick her up. Yeah. I don't just kiss her. I pin her up against the wall, put my hand around. I'm not trying to get graphic. Yeah. There's context here. So I, come up behind her and hug on her, kind of aggressive. But that would make her really, really shut down. And I didn't know what was going on. I felt rejected. Like, why you don't want to kiss me? My breath stink or something like that. So we would have, and not only was she shut down, then it would be tension. It would be almost hostile. So again, this wasn't until about a month and a half, 2 months in, where it was like now it's back-to-back things. Now I come up on the kiss her and she like kind of pushing away. She can't stay far enough away from me. She's kind of mean towards me. And it's kind of a flip side. And I didn't know part of what I was feeling didn't have nothing to do with the relationship. It was much deeper. But I remember like, man, my breath getting short. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I ain't never been so sensitive to rejection because we all get rejected. But this is the first time I felt that. And what's...
Yeah, because this is the one you wanted. It's like, this is the one you said you're going to marry. So I can understand. This person pushing you away and you don't know why. There's tension. And and shouts out to Faith, but the way they made it seem like he was just pushing her against the wall and slamming her and stuff like that. It's like, dude, this is not. There's dudes who pick women up, grabbing them and stuff like that. That's kind of like normal. It's like they make it seem like he was abusing her. The way they make it sound like it's like that's not what it to me, and the way he's telling it, that's not what it was. So it's like y'all making him seem like he was abusing her, and he's just like slamming her on the wall, throwing her on the bed. Like, dude, I've thrown my ex-wife on a bed one time. That's not like abusive or like some women. Oh, women don't like that. I'm like, who are you telling? It's like some of these women who say that stuff, and this is why some guys do shut down. It's because you want that aggressiveness, but then you don't want the aggressiveness, and then it's like then you send mixed signals to the man, and so that's why some of these dudes would be like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with these women like that because they send mixed signals. You want him to be aggressive, but then you don't want to be aggressive. You don't know. It's like you you send out all these mixed messages, and then you wonder why this dude shut down, don't want to talk. He don't want to be around you. He can't open up because you don't want to open up. When he's trying to, and and I kind of believe that he was trying to be that guy. He was trying to be that guy. But this is what happens when when women don't let men know what's going on. Now I'm like, wait a second. I'm trying to be the good guy. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to cheat on you, but you're not helping. And so now he don't know what's going on. Why are you rejecting my love? And when you reject man generally trying to love you, that fucks with a dude. I know there were times that, I did some things and she rejected it. But at least she would explain why. And unfortunately the man never explained why until much, much, much later. And that's a problem. Well, we know why after you hear the interview with her, you know why she rejected it like that and had these issues. So, which you explain later. Let's continue.
What felt safer was to go out and at least have friendships with other girls. Just the conversation felt like receptiveness, like acceptance again. But those loose boundaries turned into no boundaries. So, if we continued to clash and she continued to pull away or what have you, and I'm not getting no answers or whatever, especially in my prideful state, I'm thinking, man, she got me effed up. So I'm over here doing the right thing and she over here acting like I ain't nothing. So now there's a party tonight or there's a girl on campus and then she got her own dorm room. And that's whenever I started messing around.
Yep. And this is where he fucked up. Listen, and here's the thing I would say to any men when you got women doing like this, dude, try to find out what's going on. Now, Faith and the guys over there, like, oh, well, he didn't care. Well, it sounded like he cared, but listen, you're going to keep pushing me away, shit will happen. Now, I'm not saying what he did was right, but that's with anybody. You keep pushing the person away, pushing them away, pushing them away. You're not explaining what's going on. Well, guess what? Where woman, you got a woman where you be like, nah, it's all right. She hitting on you. Like, nah, it's okay. Now she hitting on you. Oh, well, now you're spending a little more time. You shouldn't be, but you're not getting the attention you want. Now, like he said, now there's the party. I'm going to go to the party. Now I see that girl. Now you got alcohol involved. You already know. Alcohol open legs, open zippers. So, Now, again, not saying he was right. He probably should have, if she ain't talking, yeah, it's probably best you need to back up. And I do want to say this to you guys, particularly. Stop trying to force something that is not there. If she is rejecting you over and over and over again, the idea of cheating is not going to work. That's not going to help. It's going to make things worse. You need to downgrade the relationship. Try to be the friend. Go back to friend mode. Don't try to do the cheating and all that stupid shit. Go back to friend mode. Hey, listen. I don't know what's going on with you, but you keep rejecting me. Nah, I can't. Till you tell me what's going on, we can't continue. We're not gonna play these games, and I'm not gonna try. I'm not a therapist. So you need to tell me what's going on or get some help. Till you get some help, now I see you when I see you. That's what you got to do. Because it, like I said, cheating is not, that's not the answer. It don't work. You're just going to cause more problems.
It's interesting. Now I realize something. You were trying to be on the straight and narrow, and that aggressive personality that you had, because she told me, well, she told us on the podcast that she had experienced a rape 2 weeks before y'all met.
Yeah. So she and
you didn't know nothing about.
I didn't know about that till 5 years later.
Exactly.
I don't know if she wants to speak on it, so I won't go in depth. But there was another instance of rape in that same 30-day span before she met me. So I didn't know to the level or at all that I was dealing with a rape survivor. Even if I knew that, I probably wouldn't have known how exactly to handle it.
That, yeah.
And that's the point I've been trying to make. Even if he was, which he said he was trying to do the right thing, there would be no way you can't deal with someone. There's no way a 19-year-old guy is going to be able to deal with a girl who got raped. And she got raped twice before she even met him. And she never got help for that. She never seeked justice. She never went and got help. So yeah, I can understand why she was acting like that, but I can also understand his position is like, I don't know what's going on. And you know, there were people on face panels talking about, well, he seemed like he didn't care. Did this sound like he didn't care? How he supposed to care? He don't know. And she's not talking. And it's like, I'm sorry. Have you ever dealt with a, I'm thinking to my head when I listen to the guy on the panel, I said, dude, have you ever dealt with a rape victim? Have you ever dated a rape victim? I have. Now, have you dealt with a rape victim? Have you dealt with a person who had abuse? I have. I can tell you the stories. I understand that there will be times where I could drive down. I remember this one time. And I was driving down this neighborhood I go to at times. And I'm driving down the street and she's freaking out. And I'm like, what the fuck going on? And then she tell me, hey, this is where I got raped. And I'm like, what? Yeah, that literally we driving by the actual apartments where she got raped. Now that she told me. Matter of fact, the ex told me that she got raped. And matter of fact, she told me early, like within I think, were we dating at the time? No, we were not dating at the time. It was after we started dating after that. But before that, we was just being friends, and you know, there was an issue with her and my other friends, and I don't know what's going on. They are with each other. I don't know what's going on. I don't pick sides, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. So I talked to her. She told me, yeah, you're probably wondering why I'm acting kind of weird. Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? Well, I got raped. And I'm like, what? Now, I kind of suspected it because there was certain ways she would act. Like she wouldn't want to walk home by herself, even at night when she worked at the bookstore where we were attending school. So she would tell me, yeah, I got raped. And so now I took it in. She told me what happened, and you know, It was something. And I said I understood, and and went from there. But here's where the thing that happens with that. There'll be dudes who will look at her funny, and she would freak out. That even happened with my own brother. She was saying my brother was looking at her the wrong way. Now I didn't confront my brother because I'm like, I'm right there. I didn't see nothing, but that a lot of these rape victims be ultra sensitive and they ultra sensitive to things. Unfortunately, with that and guess who got to deal with that? You, as a man. I don't think a lot of men understand that. And so when no, you just gotta tough it out. You gotta tough it out. Yeah, you try dealing with a rape victim. You try dealing with a rape victim and also an abuse victim. You try dealing with that. Now try dealing with that as a 19-year-old. Your first serious relationship. Now I was 20. I want to say 26. Try dealing with that at 19. The only difference between me and Derrick was I was older. But this is my first serious relationship. You try dealing with someone who's been a rape victim, and you tell me how you deal with that. And you just trying to deal with that at 19. At least I had the benefit of knowing, and I still had problems. Now imagine that at 19, dealing with this. And she's not telling you anything, and she's rejecting you. You're trying to be the loving person, and you're getting rejected over and over and over again. Again, I'm not saying what he did was right, cheating and stuff like that. I'm not saying that was right. But I understand where he's coming from. And I don't think a lot of people, a lot of guys and a lot of women who will really going at this guy kind of understand how that comes from. Because a lot of times, a lot of women don't deal with rape victims like that. You coming from a friendship thing. Try dealing with as a boyfriend or a husband and see how that goes for you. You probably think a little differently. Again, I'm not saying that what he was doing was right, cheating and stuff like that. That ain't right. He should have just left the relationship, try to be the friend, encourage her to get counseling and do stuff like that. But again, you got to understand from his perspective. He's dealing with issues. He's dealing with rejection. And you don't really think straight. As a 19-year-old, he's not mature enough. As a mature person, you probably would say, hey, you need to go get counseling. You need to go see somebody, do something. Because this is a problem. He's 19 years old and not mature. So he do some stupid shit. But let's continue.
But certain forms, and we covered this later on in our marriage therapy, but because this was a pattern. Everything that happened that was really painful was really one long repetitive pattern.
Right.
Me feeling rejected for this, that, and the other. And she handles, becoming okay again a certain way. But I didn't know certain forms of affection that were natural to me just felt scary to her, put her back in a certain space where, certain things that happen. So, yeah.
And that's so interesting. It's like, I'm getting understanding. It's like you have this woman who has experienced this huge violation of her body, her soul, her spirit, this brokenness. She meets this guy who she says she just loved him and she loved your dirty draws. You're wanting to show your affection. You grabbing her by her neck. You being aggressive physically, from a sexual standpoint. She's getting nervous. She's getting triggered on all levels. Don't even realize that she's being triggered like this. She's closing up rejection to you because you've experienced that growing up. Mom no longer is kissing you and tucking you in bed at night. Rejection. So now you're like, well, now I'm going to go self-medicate. I have this history of looking at porn, and now the way I self-medicate is watching this. So now I'm going to do the outward extension of that. Yeah. Now I'm over here hanging out with girls. One thing leads to another. Now you over here smashing. Now it's triggering her. How did she ever find out when you first cheated on her?
Well, we were both triggering each other and didn't know it.
Right.
I was triggering her with my affection. She was triggering me by
Exactly.
pushing away. I didn't just continuously, because I had this weird thing, man, where I would do it and feel guilty.
Would you tell?
Man, I'm tripping. No, heck no.
Okay.
No. So I would do it and be like, oh, man, all right, you messed up. You did your thing. Again, bro, we kids at this point. We're 19,
so when the girls be running back to it?
Nah, they didn't do that either. I don't even know if those particular girls knew we were together.
You walked around holding hands on campus.
Not all of them was on campus. Not all of them was on campus.
Yeah,
what we talking? I'm trying to dig back because this is 15 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
But
yeah, I'm gonna call cap on that. Yeah, some of them probably knew. Shit, I'm pretty sure some of them knew, and probably, another bunch of immature girls probably would have said something. Yeah, I got your man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah.
I remember, I don't know how she knew. I don't think the original one or two or whatever she knew about, but I know we had a falling out because her and her friend, she suspected or something. Her and her friend used to have this thing on Facebook called Honesty Box. And it was where basically you send anonymous messages or whatever. So her and her friend had set up to send me anonymous messages to try to see if I would bite on the bait of another girl trying to flirt with me or something like that. I would have this, and it's again pattern. I'm cheating, now I'm faithful. Now I'm cheating, now I'm faithful. So in this point, I was faithful.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no more girls. I felt terrible. That ain't it. We done made up or something. Like somehow we get to talking and we back in love again. So this honesty box message is coming in. I'm like, no, I'm good. No, I got a girl. And then I'm hearing ding in the other room. We got a apartment here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I sent another message, ding, went into the room, her inboxes, and I'm like, oh. So we fell out. She suspected me of cheating at that point, but she wasn't right about that.
Yeah.
And then from there, man, it was kind of all downhill because we got into a really bad argument and, all this other stuff.
Well, she said that in the times when she would catch you back in college, she would never tell you anywhere. She would go in the closet and cry, and then you'd come be like, hey, everything cool? And she'd be like, yeah, everything fine.
Well,
she'll say, it's my dad. I'm grieving the loss of my dad.
Yeah, that was a communication style, period. Without cheating, I may say something that offended her. I learned later on in therapy with her that sometimes my facial expressions while I'm listening would trigger her because I think her dad or something like had that going on. So a million things could be wrong with her, but then it again this dynamic of I'm begging for her to tell me what's wrong, and she don't. And I could take rejection maybe 1 or 2 days, but after 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months, now I'm starting to check out and detach without actually leaving. So it wasn't just the cheating that she wasn't talking about. She literally, if she had an issue, she held it in until she blew up.
She said that. She said she held something in like 10 years and then blew up.
A lot of stuff, man. It wasn't just that. It was a constant thing of, communication is key, but you're not communicating. And so I'm over here begging, trying. Because sometimes I'll be doing stuff and I wouldn't know it was bothering her. So for instance, I was kind of a flirt. So I would say, hey, beautiful or whatever to a girl, think nothing of it. But then she would hear that and be like, you call me beautiful. So understandably, she's offended. She's upset. Like, what, you tripping. Like, don't play with me like that. But she don't say anything. So she wasn't vocal, but she was expressive. Because it ain't like she just didn't talk. She showed that she was upset, but it was with, again, rejection, hostility, name calling, walking off in the middle of conversation. And that go on for weeks up until I pull away. Then she gets suspicious. One pattern over the next for the next however many years.
So when y'all graduated graduated college, what was the state of your relationship?
We had just broken up. So I found out about her and a gentleman. I think she mentioned on the last podcast.
She said that she was trying to get you jealous or make you jealous about a coworker that she said we created this thing to make it look like this is somebody I was dating to make you jealous. But
we remember that differently. If I pick that cup up and I pour the contents in my mouth and I swallow, did I make it look like I was drinking? So we've always differed on this, by the way. So I'm not trying to just stir nothing up. No, so I had a nonprofit when I was in college. I wanted to tutor and mentor all this other stuff. So one of the things we did was we held events. I had a Christmas event that was like that previous December toward the end of college. And I had saw her and the gentleman, the young guy, speaking for like an hour. Now, up until this point, Danae had always like tried to kind of be perfect in my eyes. Like I think she thought if she ever showed a flaw or whatever, I would just leave or something like that. So I was like, this is bold. You know, at my events, like hundreds of people in there, but I can see her just chatting it up. So from December all the way until we graduated that late May or something like that, I had seen the cars together. I had seen all these different things. And
it's the coworker that she had.
Yeah, coworker and a classmate or something like that.
Yeah, buddy. I told you he should have left. Dude, you're dealing with this. You already cheated. Bro, it's going downhill. And listen, I know because I cheated. But the difference between me, I was mature enough to be like, nah, because if I cheat once, I'll cheat again. And I'm going to lose respect. So it's time to go. He didn't have that maturity. And again, cheating ain't gonna help. I'm gonna get back at her. So guess what? Now it's a get back. So this is the whole I get back at you, you get back at me, make up, break up bullshit. That is so fucking annoying. That annoys everybody. That Jesus, what's wrong with this situation, man? Like yeah, but that's when you don't have this maturity. And you don't know how to deal with stuff. You're getting rejected, and you now it's get back time. Now she's getting back at you because you rejected her. But again, and I'm looking at some of the comment section of this thing. I don't believe nothing he say. He don't sound remorseful. I mean, what you want him to sound? What you want him to break down and cry? I'm like, what do you expect him to sound? He's explaining his story. I mean, goddamn, you want that emotional connection? Go listen to her story again. This is his story. And what do you want him to do? Be crying all the time? Goddamn. Let him speak his story. Now, I believe the first part. Now, some things I think is cap, like you just nobody knew we were messing around. Bruh, stop. Stop the cap on that shit. Come on, bro. Stop the cap. Now you're capping here, buddy. now you're capping. But I do kind of believe the whole he was trying to be the good guy. I do believe him. Like I said, I don't agree with the cheating. I think he again cheating just to get back at a chick. That ain't cool, man. It's stupid. Because you might as well just be single. Just be single and do what you do. He should have left, but again, immature. I'm gonna get back at her, and yeah, now you fucked up. It is what it is.
That. So fast forward, and I'm thinking at this point, first off, we already coordinated where we're going to work at the school. We're going to be in the same state, because I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. But at this point, I think it was really a lot of what she had been holding in because I had been unfaithful. I had cheated and all this other stuff. I think she never fully expressed herself on how that affected her. So at this point, I think it started bubbling up to where she got really hostile. Like, man, I don't care what you say. So she's out overnight. It's like, I went to sleep at the gas station. I'm like, went to sleep at the gas station? Went out again overnight.
Oh, y'all were staying together?
We were staying together.
Okay.
We just started staying.
Yeah, the get back. We know how this goes. Get back. I'm gonna get back at you. I'm like, so hey, but dude, again, you decided to stay. You should have been gone. When this stuff started popping up again, you should have been gone. And this is to any young men listening. She started pulling away from you. You're trying to be the good guy. You're trying to be the lovey-dovey person, and she pulling away from you. Yeah, it's time to bounce, dude. And she ain't especially if she ain't telling you what's going on. Yeah, you need to bounce. You need to bounce. And I know that's going to be hard for a lot of dudes. It's going to be hard hell, it's hard for men to do that in general, especially with someone you really invested in. But I'm telling you, if she's not explaining to you what's going on, she won't tell you. No, it's time to go. It does not help you to play the cheating game because you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. You know, listen, and I know you will take it personal, but you gotta again, you can't take some of the you gotta try as hard as you can not to take it personal, especially if she's doing stuff like that. Not she's rejecting you. I know it's hard not to take that personal, but you can't take it personal in the sense of it's your fault. No, it's time to bounce. Be the friend, tell her to get some help, and hey, keep your distance. Till she find out she getting help, I'm going. If she ain't telling you she going to see a therapist or whatever, no, you need to keep it moving. You know, it's it's better. Not this get back because then now you getting back at her. Now she getting back at you, and you just sitting there taking it. I'm like, bro, no, not me. I ain't taking that shit. Fuck that. I ain't suffering. No, sorry, I'm not the suffering type.
And go like we were shacking up like year two.
So he said, so she left the house and then come back the next morning.
So like 9, 10 in the morning. And this was unlike her. She was not this type of girl. But she's wearing makeup now. I know she got some hood rat friends from Sonic where she work, and I know she hanging with them. I'm like, what is she doing? I'm not sure who's involved. So she did that 2 nights in a row. Then one night I came home. I forget where I was at. I wasn't doing at this point. I wasn't doing anything. I kept going up and down. Came home in the shower. I came in just like me, bro. I'm very affectionate. My number one love language is physical touch. So first thing I do is give my kiss and hug. She's in the shower. I go right up in there, and while she's in the shower, she's wet. And she's like, I'm like, what's up, baby? Kissed her. Came on out, and the phone is on the counter with the messages up. And he's like, is he home? Can I slide? And I'm looking real quick, and I see the name. She jumped out, wet, snatched the phone, and I was like, oh boy. Went to the living room. I searched the name on Facebook, saw some stuff. I was like, that's the guy that she was talking. So long story short, man, that was a big blow up, and we broke up. And then years later, I had heard from some people he was around about what actually took place. And that after we broke up, she had went and stayed the night, and they did whatever they did. And it wasn't until we were married, because we had this thing where, hey, tell every sexual experience you've ever had.
Yeah.
Where we were married, and she finally, after he done died.
Ew. Every sexual experience. What the hell? What kind of shit y'all on? Like, no. I'm trying to think. Did we talk about sexual experience when we were married? Before that? No. No, we were too busy learning sexual experiences. We were too busy actually creating our own sexual experience. No way, I'm trying to figure out what my. I remember I did that one time with another friend of mine. It was a white chick. Boy, I instantly regretted that shit. I don't know why. I don't know what possessed me to ask. I don't know what the fuck. I guess morbid curiosity. And I asked, and I instantly regretted. She told me all kinds of shit. And I was like, why the fuck did I ask? So, no. My advice, do not ask about sexual experience. Don't. Just don't. Don't ask. Don't ask. That's a don't ask, don't tell policy. Don't ask, don't tell. I don't want to know. It's better you don't know about mine. I don't want to know about yours. Just tell me what you like. I'm good. I had another chick. Now I didn't even ask. I'm like, what the fuck? She telling me about it. She was doing threesomes with the dude, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, why are you telling me this? And again, this is a chick telling me I'm gonna be a Christian. I want to be a Christian wife. And then she's also telling me about the threesomes she's doing with her friend. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? I'm like, I'm like, why? What did I do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve this, man? What did I do? Jesus. Right. So no, with my ex-wife, no, I did not ask sexual. What you did with that last man? I'm like, fuck, no, I don't want to know. I don't even like, no, fuck, I don't want to know about what you did with the ex man. No, we're gonna build our own sexual experiences. Yeah, advice to men: hey, don't ask about sexual experience. Just ask what you like, what you don't like. Do that. Not ask. You're not gonna like the answer. She probably might not like your answers. Not that I had many answers for her if she would have asked. But Jesus, it's better to learn than to ask. Yeah, just ask what she likes, and then or learn by performing. That's better. Don't ask. You're not gonna like the answer. I know. I wouldn't like the answer.
A couple months earlier, said what all had actually transpired.
So she admitted to it.
And well, she did. She said, well, she didn't have sex while we were together, but it was afterwards. Me, I'm like, it pales in comparison to what I did. I am not gonna get mad. Like, let's just keep it all the way G, so we can sweep this away and get on to the next chapter. But we had the direct answers. We broke up. We broke up because of that. Her and whoever, I didn't care. I moved on, did my thing, but we stayed in touch. And when she moved where she moved to, we kind of reconnected sexually.
She said that at that point, but first of all, let's go back to her personality, which is interesting because I've come to find out that Naya said she used to be a fighter. She used to swing on people. She said somebody came to the job one day, she fought people. She
I didn't know that part of her, but I mean, she's spoken of being willing to, but I didn't know that part of her.
Yeah, she said she was known to throw hands, and I was like, really? I was like, she was like,
well, you saw the video she was doing. Yes, I believe she cool enough to do that, swing on people. Yeah, that chick. I mean, listen, you listen to that first part, and then the second part, and then some of the stuff I heard on Instagram, and then the video she did. Yeah, Danae's like, she's not sane. Yeah. So her getting into fights with people at the job, yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah, I can see that happening.
A lot of tricks up her sleeve, a lot of surprises. Box of chocolates, man.
She said she threw hands. And so now y'all moved to y'all's respective cities. What city was that? Was this when you moved to Atlanta?
I was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. No, we went to North Carolina first.
Okay.
Well, and then she was in South Carolina.
And y'all were both single during that time?
Very single.
You doing your own thing, she doing her own thing.
Her own thing.
But then y'all would just smash every now and then.
Every now and then. But then I would say it just lasted about a year and a half. So if she needed me, I came and, like, say, for instance, one time I worked a 9 to 5 at the time. I was at work, but she had felt really ill and she didn't have no family down there or nothing like that. And I came back, I flew back and I just drove. It was like a 5-hour drive. I drove down there and I stayed with her that weekend. So anytime she needed me, she had no furniture, I would help. If she needed to do this, I would help. That was kind of how we, how we did things. But we were still sexually engaged whenever I did come.
Would that be the...
Yeah, I know how that is. I was doing that with my ex. Now, when I first left, we didn't talk for at least, I want to say, 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months. Then we started talking again. And then, one thing led to another. Then we started having sex again. And we was, having sex even while she was dating. Like, while she was dating the other dude. So yeah, so I can understand when some dudes be saying, like, I don't want to be, I don't want no woman who's still connected with her ex. I can understand. Because I was the ex. uh, let me just say this. I went and got her a bed. And I christened that bed. Just saying. But yeah, I'm like, that's why I was like when who was it? Tisa Son Johnson was talking about how he was in a sexless marriage. I was like, I don't even know what that felt like. Sexless marriage? Not my marriage. Shit. Even after my marriage, it was like sexless. I don't know what that felt like. I don't even know what that is. I'm like, you had a sexless marriage? Really? I ain't saying loud, but I'm just like, not me. Shit. I wish. Shit. If I wasn't gonna, she sure wasn't gonna allow it. Shit. Ain't no sexless marriage over here. Shit. Even after we separated and we got back together, we were still having sex. Oh yeah. Like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that feel like. I'm like, damn. I don't know how dudes do it. I don't know. Nah, I can't do sex with marriage. That ain't happening.
Fine in today's standards as a situation.
That's fair to say.
Or just somebody I'm just smashing because a situationship is more so as it's understood that we're exclusive with each other, but we don't have the title. This sounds like more of, I understand you got other people you messing with and vice versa, but we'll hook up.
I would say after probably the first year when we kind of really started up with, I'm coming in, I'm operating as a boyfriend or she's operating as a girlfriend, daily calls and texts and check-ins and stuff like that, but still undefined.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fair to say situationship. Either way, it was a blurred line mess.
And when y'all got ready to move to Atlanta, was that a conversation that y'all had that y'all were going to move together?
First, she was going to come up to where I was at, North Carolina. My whole goal was to get down to Atlanta. My whole life goal was to get down there and driving distance to my mom and them.
Where your mom live in Atlanta?
Alabama. So she's like a four-hour drive away. So I never had plans of staying too far away. I always wanted to be close with family. But yeah, we had that conversation. Like at some point, especially as we get back together, we're going to be down in Atlanta together.
So when at the birth of, at what stage and age did the birth of the Derrick Jaxn that we see on social media, when did that emerge?
It kind of started, I would say, about 2012. I can't say social media because now I talk a lot about relationships. I didn't start off with relationships.
What are you talking about?
I was talking about police brutality. I was kind of like one of them online activists.
Oh, really?
My first time going viral, my first time on national television, I went on CNN. I was speaking on behalf of Walter Scott Bush. My first time going viral, it was about Trayvon Martin and Rachel Gentile and those folks.
That's what you were doing?
That was my first thing. That's the first thing I went viral with. So the first 50 to 100,000 people that was on my page, and I only separated it because I didn't want people on my personal page aggravating, how racist it is.
Yeah.
So I created a separate page where I was talking mostly about that. Occasionally I was sprinkling relationship stuff because I was always a lover. I always loved love and talking about love. But
that was
2012.
Yeah, he sure loved the ladies, that's for certain. Well, I'm like, oh yeah, he was one of these social justice warriors. And you know what? It kind of fits with his. It kind of fits because it's like, even with these whole relationship stuff, they seem like more of a social justice type thing. But and this is like a lot of dudes who get into these relationship things. You want to help these women who have been wronged. And you see it with these pro-black women, black males. It comes off as a social, like these social justice warriors. But it's not like against society, it's against men who do women wrong. And it's stemmed from either a guilt or from I I feel bad for what happened to mama, so I don't, or my sister, so I don't want that to happen to any other women, or guilt because you did wrong to women, so now you want to make up for your guilt. And then I'm like, if you really want to make up for your guilt, um, just be the best man that you could possibly be. And for that particular woman that you decide to settle down with, be the man that you need to be. Stop trying to get on other men's cases. Like, it's okay to give advice. I don't have a problem with advice. But when you going in on dudes and they're, oh, these men are trash, and like, oh, hold up, bro. Then you have to look at you and like, what have you done? Now I gotta look at you. Now you're doing too much. When you way too going too hard in the paint for these women, now I gotta look at you funny. Now I gotta see, okay, do you have some kind of guilt? Did you do some shit? Or you have this whole my mommy did me I did my girlfriend or wife. I fucked up a lot of relationships. Now I want to make sure that nobody else get fucked over, and these men gotta act right. We the ones that I'm like, dude, stop it. You're getting annoying. That shit annoys me. Listen, you fucked up in relationships. You deal with that. You go to counseling and deal with that. Stop visiting that shit on everybody else. That's annoying. And it doesn't do any good because the women don't, especially now, 2023, those women don't trust guys like that no more. They'll use them. They don't trust them, and then they turn on the guy. Or if the girls don't do what he wants, he turns on them. So it's kind of like, hey, look, this ain't healthy. It's when you're going too hard in the paint for women as a guy, that's not healthy. Not healthy at all. Because sometimes they'll do it for people who really don't deserve it, and it makes the whole thing look silly. It's stupid. But let's continue this. Oops. God damn it. Sorry about that.
This was 2012, like 2011, 2012. When I first went viral, I went to work and I saw like 15,000 people liking the page and so on and so forth. I ain't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
But I was just speaking my piece on whatever I felt was true. But then that became too heavy. It was like, it's so dark and it induces this helplessness. And I don't know how people do it now when they get up and talk about that every day. It's not that it's not important. But anyway, I was just like, I kind of want to stick to just the lovey-dovey stuff, man. So I kept posting my poetry and, Dear Future Wifey, and all that stuff. But people.
Yeah, and that usually what happens when you get into that whole police stuff and racism, and yeah, it does get heavy. And it does turn you into a either red pillar or a black pillar in the sense of you turning against society. And it will get you jaded about society and people. So yeah, I can understand why he got off of that shit, because it gets very dark, and it could get you into a dark place. Like for instance, Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, the lead singer, he was sing about this dark stuff that he went through. But the only way you can get the only way he can make these hits, I mean, he had some hits, but if you really listen to these songs, they really, really dark. And the only way you can get those songs is you got to go to that dark place, and you keep going to that dark place over and over and over, you eventually are not going to come out of it. And that's what I say with the social justice thing. You're going into a deep, dark place when you talk about this stuff, and it gets to the point where you don't see no happiness. you don't see no good stuff. Whether it's against white people, whether it's against women, men, you don't see no happiness. You get to the point where you get into, okay, now I don't give a fuck about anything. I'm gonna use them before they use me, and then it gets into what we call indifference, and a lot of people can't handle that. Like I said, there's a lot of people that I think. Well, Big J said this on Virgil's panel. Um, a lot of people committed suicide. Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of people have committed suicide because they get into this dark place where you try to be indifferent. But here's what indifference ultimately causes, where people be indifferent to you. You push people away, people are just going to be like, okay, I'm not going to deal with you. And here's the thing, we are all social creatures, and you have to interact with people. And if you don't, then yeah, it turns real dark real quick. And your mindset will turn real dark real quick. Yeah. So let's continue.
Well, like now I got like 75, 85,000 people are looking at my page. And now what they see is at least relationship conversation. And so then they would ask questions. And that's whenever, I don't even know what year that was. That had to be about closing on 2013 sometime. And I wasn't trying to give like this expert point of view. I was just more like big brother. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, this is what it is. I'm not no knight in white shining armor, but this is the truth on what you're talking about. And so they begin curating more of the conversation now, the DMs, the comments and stuff like that. And little by little, they started going viral.
And so you were intentional enough to say, let me leave this other stuff alone and then focus my energy on love and relationships.
Yeah, I honestly, bro, just like everybody else get on social media to post whatever's important to them, that's what I did. The only difference is my voice started resonating, relating to people. And I think I'm probably a bit more bold than most.
What was the style? Were you doing it? Was it on a cell phone like you become known for? Or did you have cameras? Like, what were you doing during that time?
It was written at first. It was all written. Everything was written up until 2014, 2015. My first, actually, I was a romance novelist. The first couple of books were Cheating Man's Heart 1 and 2, inspired by, I'm sure it's a huge surprise. And then from there, I wrote poetry because, again, I'm just staying true. Some people were trying to push me into
surprise. I know he had a lot of material for this one. Man, get that right. Oh, I know. How I did with Shakika last night. Yeah. Let me write that in. Yeah. Yeah, how I did, didn't I? Yeah. Man, this is gonna be a hit. Yeah. That shit is fun.
I'm like, y'all don't know. I just effed up everything. I ain't the one. But then when I got down to Atlanta, this is 2015-ish. Me and her just broke up all over again. People have been stealing a lot of my content. And I was like, enough of that. So I started making videos, Snapchat videos. And then those went even more viral than the written stuff. So that's how that happened. It was on my cell phone. I ain't have none of these beautiful lights and cameras or nothing like that. But I was able to impact a lot of lives. Even just with I think it was an Android at that.
You got something against Android?
I'm just saying, everybody be shading.
Now you woke up and chose violence. Now I got Android.
Samsung phobic, so
we have a great conversation till you got to go attack Android. Now interview over. I'm sorry.
Triggered you.
Yeah, triggered me.
Yeah. Hey, I got Android. Like boo iPhones. They suck. Apple sucks. They're the worst company in the world. They charge you for everything. Fuck Apple. Android, what it is, buddy. I used to have a Windows phone, and it was good for like Word and stuff, but ain't a lot of apps. So when I went to Android, I never left. I almost was tempted because my ex has an iPhone, and they got a lot more apps than the Android, but nah, as a person who used to sell iPhones and stuff, I've heard a lot of horror stories about trying to get them fixed and stuff like that, and how Apple will be fucking everybody over. The money, I'm like, nah, I'll stick with my Android. Thank you. I'm good.
Oh, you iPhone people, and so you start doing this content. And so, what kind of feedback did you get from your brothers? Like, where like dudes that you know, where they like, man, come on, man, what you doing talking about this stuff or this? Like your inner circle, how did they receive it?
My inner circle knows me. They know first off I'm kind of soft. Like I always like things that most people didn't like. Okay. You know, I watch a little bit of sports, but not big on sports. I always love love. Whenever we used to freestyle back in the day, I was always on love topics, all that kind of stuff. So
really,
yeah. But outside of my inner circle, you know, I got a lot of feedback that I really kind of got with the videos, the comments, and all that kind of stuff. Oh man. But it's just like, bro, true is true. Like, again, like you just think yourself back in the worst of your decisions, whatever they may be. If your female cousin, auntie, mama, sister come and ask you a question about a dude, you're going to keep it straight with them. 100%. You're not going to tell them, oh, he put his hands on you because you didn't have the food ready when he got home from work. You're going to say straight like, nah, he put his hands on you, but he probably wouldn't talk out of line to a dude the same size as him. 100%. Cowardly, right? Yep. So that was the perspective. But as people came and piled in, and again, I never branded myself because it wasn't about no brand. I just wanted to do what I was doing full time. So
you wouldn't even know it at that point. You don't know how this could grow.
That was not a thing whenever I first started. Right. It was like maybe two guys. I think one or two guys that was doing it professionally.
Who was doing it professionally?
I want to say Tony Gaskin was one of the ones, and then a brother by the name of Stefan Speaks.
Oh yeah,
they had a thing going on, and I still didn't know their business. So I mean, you know, I didn't know this as a profession. But yeah, that was the feedback. But then guys that actually talk to me in real life, we always left the conversation them understanding what I'm saying in full context. So if a woman asks you a question, you're going to speak to that context. Yep. But of course, it's a larger conversation in both sides of the coin.
And when did you start knowing that, when did it click? This can be monetized. Did it happen from your first booking that happened? Somebody said, hey, we want you to come speak at this women's thing about this. You're like, wow, I can get paid for this. How much I charge? $5? What I charge?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that made you say I could get paid for doing what I love doing?
First off, I published my first book, 2013. It was a romance novel, though. There wasn't no advice, 2014, 2015.
What was that called?
A Cheating Man's Heart.
Okay, so that's when you created product.
Yeah, but it was tough to sell because I didn't know how to show the value in it because I ain't had no quotes in it or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, speaking. But I was deathly afraid of speaking.
Really?
I got booked for an hour, funny enough, in Mollywop, Montgomery. And I think it was about $400 that I got paid. I had everything up in my mind, I'm going to say it. And I had everything out in 10 minutes. And I had another 50 minutes to go. I was sweating just like I am right now, except I ain't had nothing to say. So I was like, well, speaking probably ain't it. And then I was like, from there, I had to figure out other ways to make money. So, you know, even to this day, my content ain't how I make a living. I have other businesses, but I had to figure out, how do I do marketing? How do I do Google Analytics and Facebook and YouTube marketing? How do I do these other things? Because I'm not getting no money. At that time, they didn't have no monetization for Facebook and all that stuff.
No.
So if you didn't have a product to sell, or if you weren't getting brand deals, you ain't making no money.
Facts.
Yeah.
Did you ever get brand deals?
Not like as a long-term thing. I did a couple of things for like the Last OG show and stuff like that.
Yeah, but not like the way it is nowadays where they be like,
I stopped even accepting them because I felt like they would always try to control me. Like my thing is like, I can't be bought. I don't care who like what I'm saying. I don't care the feed, man. Look, I'm going to say the truth. I'm not going to be a sellout. And a lot of times the brands would be like, oh, well, you know, you got to take this video down, especially about the black stuff, pro-black stuff. And I'm like, I'm not taking anything down.
Yep.
If I say I love even black women, if I say I love black women, I'm adoring black women, I'm sorry to those whites and non-blacks that get offended, but this is how I feel. So I stopped doing brand deals, and that's why I really learned business so I could be independent with my voice too.
That's real.
And that's cool. I like that. Cause yeah, that's why, like, and I see people and they gotta talk a certain way, even though they might not believe it, but they have to talk a certain way, especially when you get into these whole relationship things and you pandering to women. You gotta talk a certain way because you want to keep that money going in. And like I've always said, like, show me where he gets his money and I can show you where his loyalty lies. And oh, this is where he make money with the women, like with Ask Nathaniel. If he makes money with women, what you think he's gonna cater to? Women. I mean that's easy. That's easy work. So I understand it. That's why, like, when I hear the message that he has, especially now, now it's like he was trying to go the whole divesting thing, and white men better, and like, I'm glad he got off of that, because that, again, my opinion, if you are a black man telling a black woman that the white man is better than a black man, you are shitting on yourself, and that's weak. I didn't like it when Honest Truth was doing it. I didn't like it when Ask Nathaniel do it, because I think that's weak as a man. Listen, don't. I'm not against interracial dating, and I'm not for it. I'm neutral on it. But what I'm not going to do is promote it over myself. Now, these women want to go date out, by all means, go do that. But I am never going to put a white man above me. Never. Well, the white man put himself above you, as he should. Who's going to put another man? What man's going to put another man above them? I remember all the truth that telling me, well, the white man put himself. I'm like, yeah, why are you helping him? I'm not going to help the white man put himself above me. No. I'm going to put myself above him. I don't give a fuck. There have been white men who have helped me, give me job advice, help me get a position, but I still don't put them above me. And I'm definitely going to put in the realm of dating, considering, again, a lot of the laws, especially about marriage and these rape laws, why were they written? They weren't written because of black men. They were written because of white men. So common sense would tell you they made these laws against white men. Therefore, by default, these white men are not the best men out here. So why am I going to put them above me? That's insane. That's weak. You don't see no other man put another man above them. They won't do it. Hell, white men used to be back in the day killing white women for dating black men. Killing the black man, kill the white woman. It's just, and even if they were dating black women, they kept it in the dark. Because again, why would I put another man above me? Why would I put another race above me? So I feel him on that. He didn't put the white women above anybody. You see that shit? That's fucking stupid in itself. So you're saying that man, even if you're saying white women are better and all that, you're still basically saying that white man is better than you. Sorry, bro. I'm not doing that. Never. I think black women are the most beautiful women in the world, by far. I don't care who has a problem with it. But I don't have to tell y'all. I don't have to proclaim it to the world. It's by my actions. My actions say it. I ain't gotta come on YouTube every fucking day telling you this shit. That gets annoying. Oh, hey, queen, and all that's goofy shit. How I act, how I talk to women on panels, even when I disagree with it, shows you how much I care. All that other stuff, goofy shit. Essentially telling them, date white men, they better than us. Nah, bro, that's weak as fuck. You're a weak person to do that. So I respect him on that. Even though he was cheating on one and causing problems. And it's a weird kind of love, Let's keep it pushing.
And so then when what initiated the move to Atlanta? You want to get closer to your mom, 4 hours drive. Did y'all move together in solidarity? Did you say?
We planned it first. She had got a job down there. By this time, I was a full-time entrepreneur. But then we broke up right before we even went down there. We was some making up and breaking up fools. So we went down there separately. She went to stay where she was at in Dunwoody. I forget where I stayed, Dallas, Georgia, something like that. And yeah, this was just another long single season. We had 3 main tries at relationship. One in college, one right after college in North Carolina, and then the one in Atlanta.
And so when you say the single season, how long? I know it's hard to look back at that time. How long were you single and y'all still never just stopped dealing with each other ever?
No.
So we're not official together, but we still gonna be smashing, meeting up to smash. How long did that season last?
Maybe about a year. I would say this was in, I think it was like the second half of 2015. And then we didn't get together and operate as a couple until Marley was just about here. And that was in 2016, into 2016. So yeah, she went and did her thing. And from my understanding, not just single, like we smashing, but she was on dates with other guys. Nothing wrong with that. And of course I was doing what I was doing.
So is this her comedy when she says, me and the girls, she said, I knew it. I like having sex with them. We passing each other, men and women passing each other in the hallways. Is that comedy or for real?
I don't know why she said that. Because I told her a story about 2 girls passing each other. There's no way in heck I would have her, because I know her temper. You know what I'm saying? I never seen her fight, but I know her temper. She gonna make stuff uncomfortable. No way I would have her around any other woman that I was actually smashing. But there was a situation I told her. So maybe I think as she was talking like us, as everybody who's, sleeping with Derrick. But yeah, there were 2 girls that passed each other up on the staircase. Because I never lied. Like, this is what I'm on. I'm single now. I'm deep in my whole phase. And I'm going to win All-American honors in it.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So if you can be 10 toes down and be honest like that, I can't do nothing but respect that. Because women say that that's what they desire. They like for a man to.
And this is where, like, when I was listening to Faith and like, oh, he was using her and he knew her feelings and like, and I'm like, hey, he's so callous with it. He's not empathetic. It's like, this is his story. This is his view on the situation. And 2, again, she participated. This is not like he was like, oh, I'm promising to get back together with it. They were breaking up and they were still, hold on a second. Okay, so I'm looking at, like, I was listening to the women over there on Face Channel, and my thing is like, well, he knew she had feelings for him. I'm like, bruh. I'm like, sis, listen. She was doing her thing. He was doing their thing. She was trying to fuck. He was trying to fuck. This is not no like he was just using her up and using her. No, it's she participated. She wasn't getting used. She liked his. It's just like when we were my age. We were still banging each other. It's not no. We understand the assignment, and at the end of the day, it's like there's no guarantee we're gonna get back together and stuff like that. It's just that's what we were doing. Now, I don't think that he's using her. He know her feelings. Okay, but again, that is not cheating to me. Now again, when he was in a relationship and he was doing this shit, having women fucking all of these other broads, yeah, that's cheating. It's fucked up. This ain't cheating, and he don't have to take her. Even if he did do that, he did that because of her. that's still, he don't have to do that. He could have been like, well, shit, you see these women, well, it is what it is. So I don't see where he's using her. I mean, you heard her side, but he's like, hey, I'm single. And she want to come over here to fuck. I mean, it is what it is. I didn't see the problem with it. She participated. It'd be different if she was telling him, and I don't think she even told him that she was still having feelings for him. I'm sorry. That's that. Hey, she could have cut it off just like he could have. It is what it is.
Be straight up honest so they'll know how to move accordingly. And so you're telling me that in that phase you were straight up like, which she said that it was like that
There's no perceived relationship. There's none of that. Now, there could have been more etiquette in how I did some of those things.
How? Tell me how you have
first off, I thought that was kind of messed up for the girls I had passing each other. I really was in savage mode. And then I think 1 or 2 times in there would see like some condom wrappers or something like that. And I'm like, even though we're not together, she may be doing her thing. We know our history and we know the feelings that we got for each other. And especially whenever she got pregnant. You know, we conceived Marley, I think New Year's Eve or what have you, and going into 2016. And, you know, we continued engaging sexually, but she's pregnant now. And then I was still out here doing my thing with whoever, whenever I felt like it, because we were not together, you know, and it was well understood. But again, that's kind of whenever she found out through the videos and stuff like that. Now, how she told me she found out, I'm not sure exactly if this is it, but she went and got a new phone. It was logged into my Google Cloud because we had been logged into each other's email, and that allowed her to see everything.
Okay. Why are y'all still? Now that's weird to me. Like, why y'all connected that way? And like, listen, if to any man, listen, if you was with this woman, you break up. If you're gonna have sex with her, I mean, I probably would say it'd be better to have a clear break, unless y'all really just not have any feelings for it, which is very difficult. But let's just say you do. Why are y'all connecting yourselves through emails and stuff like that? Why she even have access to your email? Why she even have access to your phone? I'm like, come on now, that's weird. I'm like, shit, y'all might as well be back together. Y'all doing this crazy shit. This is crazy. Weirdo shit, bro. But let's keep going.
And I'm like, again, I'm kind of freaky. So I was recording a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was just recording a lot of stuff. I like to see it or whatever. I like that better than porn, you know, to TMI. But
you say you like to see yourself.
I like to see myself. I'm inspired by me. And that.
Well, that's what a narcissist is. Like, yeah, I like to see myself banging. It's like, oh, whoa, what a narcissist. I'm like, no, there's who are freaky like that. They want to see themselves pounding. They want memories of how they pounded the shit out of these chicks. So, I mean, hell. I mean, yeah, it's freaky. Oh, that's sick. I'm like, okay, well, you got people who do that. Sorry. People do that. Now, if he's recording them without permission. Okay, that's another thing. But as long as he ain't releasing the shit, you know, it is what it is. Some dudes are on that. I recorded myself at one time. Not once. Like, this was like one time. And yeah, I replayed it, but then I deleted it because, especially now, like I was saying earlier, definitely don't want to be recorded. The way these phones are connected to like the Google Cloud and the iCloud and the way people can just hack into this stuff, it's probably not a good idea to be recording yourself fucking on your phone. If you not intending to make money off of that stuff. If you ain't intending to make money off of that, where both of y'all are good with this, again, gotta make that clear. Then yeah, you might want to keep that stuff off your phone. Or if you're gonna do that on the phone, make sure that that Google Cloud or that iCloud is disconnected. You can't do that. So that this stuff don't get released, and because people will hack in your phones. They've been hacked. You had a lot of women who got their stuff leaked because the phone recorded it up to the iCloud or the Google Cloud, and people hacked it. A lot of celebrities got their pictures of themselves, whether whether doing sex or just posing in the mirror naked. Everything's out. I was like, hey, whoever did that with Jill Scott, thank you. I appreciate that one. But yeah, that you got to be careful with this stuff. Now, some of these women were finally doing that intentionally, but we don't talk about them. We're talking about the ones who were truly victims. So let's keep going.
So she saw all of that, and regardless of how she found it, man, I just was like, it's like, what the F am I thinking? She's pregnant and she had to see that. Single or not, she's pregnant and she had to see that.
Let me ask you.
Well, you go looking for something, you're gonna find it. So I mean, hey, that's on her, honestly. You go looking for stuff, you will find what you're looking for. But if y'all not really like that, I mean, which again, why is nobody protecting themselves? Well, she said they were having unprotected sex, which I'm like, why y'all not protecting yourselves? I can get in a whole bunch of mess with that, but let's continue.
This is something that she said on the podcast or before, whatever. She's been pregnant by you multiple times and didn't conceive, right?
Yeah, which didn't carry.
Right, it didn't carry. And so when you had Marley, that's the first child?
That was the first time we actually had. We had gotten pregnant prior to that in North Carolina, but she miscarried. And then before that were abortions.
Well, definitely. Have my condolences, totally. And so what made you decide, or y'all decide, to give birth to Marley?
Well, earlier in our years, we were just kids, and we felt like we're being irresponsible if we bring them in, really thinking of ourselves at that time, not thinking about, the God factor or anything like that. So by the time we got to North Carolina, it did take a toll on her, even those experiences. And, for me, my whole stance was, even though we created this together, it's your body that has to carry it. So whatever you want, I'm on. And in North Carolina, we wanted it, but she miscarried. So when Marley came about, it was like, oh, it's game time if we can actually carry. It really wasn't even much of a discussion. The moment we went boyfriend.
Okay. So she had 2 abortions and a miscarriage. So the abortions was not his. The miscarriage that she had was his child. That's what I gathered from that. So all these people like, oh, all of those were his. Like, no, that's not what he said. And that's not even what she said. She had 3. Well, she said she had 3 abortions. He's saying she had 2 abortions and a miscarriage. So I'm like, that still doesn't answer who she had the abortions from. And the miscarriage, well, he claimed that one. So I don't know. But this is what happens when you really should be gone from each other. You're not really serious, and you're not trying to find somebody else. This shit happens. Luckily for me and my ex, she did not get pregnant. Thank goodness. So otherwise we would be in this kind of similar situation.
A girlfriend. But the moment she let me know, I told her, you ain't got to do this alone. Like, I hope you know I'm all in. And I was. Every doctor's visit, I didn't miss one. I told her she didn't have to work and I was going to take on every bill, and I did. So she didn't work from that point until all the way, honestly, until we divorced, or I filed for divorce. But that was my whole mindset.
You said all in was we're in a relationship at this point? Or
no, when I was all in, I was still not thinking we could work in a relationship. I also had
to be a present father.
I'm absolutely.
Yeah.
Because probably more than I wanted to be a husband, man, I wanted a family. I wanted to be a dad.
Because of what you were lacking growing up.
That was my major pain point.
Yep.
I don't have my daddy. And I remember vividly asking the questions to my mama. She's trying to answer best she can, but feeling away when I saw this and that. I'm like, one day when I get my baby boy, I'm not going to miss anything. So when she told me that, I really got excited, but I also wanted her to know she had my full support regardless of our relationship status. So every gynecologist, I went to the little classes to teach you how to massage her while she on that Pilates ball.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, it's game time. I bought books, but we had not sealed up the relationship exactly. So some time passed, and I think we had a little argument where she was like, if you don't be with me or something like that,
I'm not gonna let you be your kid.
I'm gonna take the baby off the grid.
Yep.
And it shook me until I had to talk about that again, because my mind is, oh, she would never do something like that.
Yep.
But she was like, oh,
she said, I'm gonna take the baby, move with my mom.
Yeah, but she said, I'll be off the grid where you can never even reach me. And I was like, okay, I never heard that before. But anyway, fast forward, it stuck with me, even though she said, I was just talking, I was just upset, my pregnancy emotions. But I also, whenever she had found all that stuff, the videos and stuff, I was just like, man, you got to tighten up. You can't be on this. I don't like the example I'm about to set. At this point, I'm in my career. I'm talking about family values. So I was like, all right, time to cut the whole phase short, time to lock in. And I made my mind up like, I'm going to propose to her. I'm going to give her some time to heal everything or whatever. But New Year's Eve, I planned it all out, started paying for the ring. I'm like, it's game time.
Why? Why did you decide to marry her? What? Because at that point, was it led because of the pregnancy? Was it led out of true love for this woman? Is it led for, like, what initiated and made you say, this is my world that I'm in. I have this platform where I'm sharing this. I have this child coming, but I want to go ahead and marry this woman.
The platform impact was the least of it. With her at that time, even though she was pregnant, she actually was helping me with work a lot. My business was picking up, going crazy. This is the first time, I think it was the first year I made 7 figures. And I'm in my 20s or whatever. And I'm like, I can trust her.
Yeah.
She was with me when I was broke, whatever. It didn't happen over the years, but at least I know she doesn't want me for my money.
Yeah.
And she's carrying my baby while helping me at work. If we can make the relationship work, I want to try. And this time, knowing what I know, because now I'm teaching the masses, I'm like, I know how I need to come. I need to secure her in terms of my intentions, and that's where the marriage part comes in.
Yep.
So she knows I'm not playing no games. I got now the financial pieces there, so she already ain't working. But before soft life was cool, I was like, I don't want her to have to worry about anything financially.
Yep, she said that.
I'm all in.
Financially, she was good.
Yeah, financially, because another pain point was I saw my mama struggling. And I always felt like if a man was here, she wouldn't be, how she is, tired all the time and gone all the time. So 2 things I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to be a present father, and I wanted to take some weight off of my lady's shoulders. And from there, I was like, whatever. I think if I come in and I do my part, the rest is going to fall into place. But it don't work like that.
No, and no, it don't. Because again, he forgot about this part. The cheating, the grape, seeing all these photos of these women, which I still think that's weird as fuck. That chick was weird. You got all this stuff, this baggage, and he's marrying her not because he loves her, because out of obligation. That's why I was even said, like, that whole, oh, well, he had to do it for his career. I was like, his career would have been fine. If anything, she, I don't think he was really worried about the career thing because one, she's not the, remember, she wasn't the type to tell anybody anything, really. It was just after this whole thing, that's when she started talking. And that was after he left. And again, people forget the whole reason why she got on the camera was because of him. I don't think she would have said nothing. She would have just took the baby and been gone. She wouldn't have said nothing. So I don't, like I said, I don't think that the to save his career would have been the issue. I think again it comes back she manipulated him through the baby. He wanted to be there for the baby. He wanted, and I gotta believe him when he said he wanted to be there for his son. That's his son. He wanted to have a family. But here's the thing: you cannot marry somebody if you don't truly love them like that. Because again, now it's going into obligation, and it's not it's obligation and duty as opposed to love. And he thought that, well, the love will build. It's like, no, you were separate. If you were separated for a long time, you were doing your thing, she was doing her thing. Y'all got knocked up. Now we want to do the marriage thing. That don't work. It has to be you truly want to make this woman a wife. You want to make this woman. You can't save nobody. Listen, you could have done all that, not be married. You could, hey, if you want to take care of her, do all that, fine, do that. But if you don't have the, if you feel obligated, obligation turn to frustration, and then it turns to resentment. You're going to resent someone. Don't do marriage out of any obligation. Do marriage because you want to be married. This dude did it out of obligation. And to be the family that he was missing. Again, another coping mechanism. Trying to cope with the fact he didn't have a family. That never works. All you're gonna have is frustration and anger and problems. So let's keep going.
I see, and I had to learn this in therapy, man. Like, as much as we know we cultivate a version of a woman, she exists outside of us.
Of course.
Well, it's easy to say that, but then when you in it and you know that you're doing this, and this, it wasn't just financial. If she called me at any time, I don't care. If she wanted me to run to a place and get her some food at 1 or 2 in the morning, it's like whatever. And I'm sitting there billing that into, that's going to produce a certain version of her. But that mindset didn't allow her to experience remaining trust issues with me. Postpartum depression.
Oh yeah.
All of these different things they ain't got nothing to do with how I'm treating her.
Right.
So without considering that, man, I personalized everything going into even the engagement and on forward, man. So yeah, that was my thinking. Like, we gonna make this work no matter what, but we still had not properly set the foundation, reset it from all of the years past.
And when you decide to marry her, you made up in your mind, I am done with all these women. This is my wife. I'm going to be an honest man that covers my wife properly.
When I made up to just get engaged with her, I had burnt all the bridges.
Oh, you did?
But the thing was, with me, my boundaries were loose.
Explain.
So boundaries.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. She was never going to be that version that he wanted her to be. And that was even if he did everything he was supposed to do. Let's take away the cheating, take away the whole doing his own thing and all the other stuff. She was never going to be the woman he wanted her to be because she was already broken. He never saw the real her. He saw a version of her that she wanted to put out there. He never saw the true version of her. Never. He never saw that true version, because the true version of her was that broken girl that was resisting his attempts of being lovey. That's the real denier, Jaxn. The woman that you saw, the woman who was ranting and raving on Instagram, that's the real denier. That one that was doing the interview, that wasn't the real denier. The woman he's trying to marry, that wasn't the real denier. She would never be the real denier, because she never got healing from the grapes, never got healing from the cheating, never had a chance to heal from the cheating and the grapes, and then being the bottom chick, looking at him as her savior, basically being a fan, not only being a girlfriend but a fan of his. It was all about him. It was never about her. You know, she was. I think somebody said she was a people pleaser. She never took time to heal. And the way he was, how was he going to help her? There was no way he was going to be able to help her. Even if he was doing everything right, he still could not help her. And that's the thing I took away from. The main thing I took away with it, he never had a chance of having a normal relationship with her, because she made it that way. Now, he didn't help with the cheating. He didn't help with the whole doing your thing and still fucking. He should have made a clean break and look, hey, this should be a clean break, start all over. But he was still connected to her. And now you got a child. Again, coping. It's another coping mechanism. You're coping with each other. Because y'all not where y'all needed to be. And you still trying to get a connection, but you just can't do it. Now you're stuck with a baby. And now you feel out of obligation and fear of, you don't want this child to be to have a father like you did, when you could have just done that. And if you did try to take your child, you need to be, you making 7 figures, go to court. Like Ty City says, put them people in our life. You got to put people. If this is your child. Put them people in our life. When it's time to talk about your children, your legacy, you got to be cold-hearted as a motherfucker. Yeah, some of you guys got to be cold-hearted as a motherfucker. This is your legacy. This is also your child. Don't let these women tell you, oh, it's my child. No, that's your child. It's my child too. And I'm going to make sure I see mine. I know if it was me, if my ex would have got pregnant, I would have fought her father, her brothers, and her brothers are big dudes. These ain't small guys. I would have fought everybody to see my child. So God bless that we didn't have no children, because that would have been a bigger mess. But I would have fought for mine. Go to court. No, I'm not going to be with you, but I'm going to see my child. And if you don't want me to be around my child, no, I don't care who you are. I'm going to see my child. There's just no question. And he should have had that mindset, but, too soft. He's a weak dude, really. These lovey-dovey Casanova type dudes. They can't fight worth shit. They can love, but they can't fight. And in this world, you can't be, when you're talking about your legacy, yes, it's a time for love, but then there's a time to fight. And if that means you even got to fight your own baby mama, listen, you got to fight. You ain't got to put hands on her, but you got to go to court. You got to make sure your parental rights are right there. Damn her feelings. You want your son. But he ain't think like that. And I know some people are gonna say, you won't worry about his career. I'm like, I doubt. We saw later. His career would have stayed intact. It's him. He that guilt, that fear, losing his child. It's not good. Let's continue.
I had bad boundaries when I was married, so I just want to hear what you consider a bad boundary.
So I may have a woman that I slept with before, even in our singleness. I may have a woman I had sexual history with before, and I have no problem carrying on small talk. That's one boundary.
Right.
Going out where I knew somebody else was going to be there, that's a loose boundary. It's like, somebody that you had sexual history with is at this place. There was one situation where a girl that I had some sexual history with, she did some work down in Atlanta, so she was flying in way before she had asked me to give her some books or something like that. And I kept that commitment to meet up with her and give her books instead of telling her or just telling her, no, things have changed since the last time.
Again, bruh. Dude, you didn't want to be married. Just stay single. Like, dude, this is ridiculous, man. Dude, you want to be single? Just stay single. Why is this so hard? Like, you're doing all this goofy shit, like causing problems. I'm like, man, that's like if I remember when I was still married, one of my coworkers came up to me and she hugged me, and my wife was looking at her like, "What the fuck?" And she had to come on. Like, no. I'm a coworker. I'm a coworker. we good here. I'm like, it's like, now I know better not to be doing stupid shit like hugging women and doing all that stuff. Like, come on, bro. And plus, again, you got a history, bro. You have a history. This like, why? You just asking for problems. What you got? God damn, like common sense, man. Common sense. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. I give you that one.
So these are the types of things that I didn't notice until way later. Danae would see or have whatever and have problem with.
Of course.
Because even if a girl is hitting me up saying, D, my mom loves your stuff. My colleague, is a fan of yours. And I reply like, oh man, thanks. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that. Hope everything is well. Danae sees that up the corner of her eye, or when she goes to my phone and says he's talking to women.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, duh. Like, bruh. Like, bruh. Come on, Derrick. I know you ain't that stupid. Come on. Like, what you thought was gonna happen? Dude, I know you didn't know she saw the videos with you fucking the other chick, which is, I still think that's some weird old shit there. I was trying to fuck like they do. I'm like, what the fuck? Who does that? Kind of weird old shit she was on. Come on, dude. You cheated on her. I know some dudes are just that ignorant. I thought we fixed it. No, bro. No. It's never done. Again. She was never going to be the woman you wanted her to be. Never. Never. It's just never going to happen. I don't know why you thought it was. It's never going to happen. But Jesus Christ. Read the room, buddy. Read the room.
For somebody who hasn't healed, it's triggering all over again. But in my mind, I ain't smashing these women. For any woman that I'm even having to lose boundary with, I'm curving women 10 times more. So on into engagement. That was the first time I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do this. Because at this point, man, I done got her books. I got a therapist because I'm not getting the version of her I think I'm supposed to get. I'm faithful. I'm provisional. I'm still asking about what we can do to fill up her love tank, but she's hostile. She's closed off. At times, she's emasculating with how she talks. Of course, the sex is not even close to being there. And then she said, well, we need to go to counseling.
That's where I'm glad you went right there. Then what happened in counseling? Because that's where she said she revealed, this is before y'all got married, right? And this is where she revealed, I had been raped before, right? In this counseling session, that this happened. When did she mention? When did she mention that she had saw stuff in your phone and all that stuff? Was that in this counseling session?
She already had told me in real life she had saw the stuff, but this is where we're going to deep dive through all those things. And at first I was reluctant. I ain't gonna lie to you, man, because it's like, why is the relationship only in trouble when you're unhappy? Why is it that I've been telling you stuff, I'm not getting what I need. I'm paying for personal trainers to help fix your self-esteem so you can get back in shape. I'm paying for the therapist, the books, the podcast. I'm doing everything, rubbing feet, backs, everything. And it's not enough. And I'm hurt by that. But then whenever you feel upset, now you're ready to save the relationship. So I was reluctant at first, I ain't gonna lie. But I'm like, I'm engaged now. We got a little baby. Let's do this. Let's go.
Was already born at this point?
Yeah, Marley's already there. She was there like maybe 8 months old. She was very young. And then the counselor, and this was kind of really made it tough for me to continue on, he immediately went into rescuer mode. Danae is a lot better at accessing her emotions, especially painful emotions, than I ever have been. So me and her together, I'm big and I'm extroverted. I can talk a little bit. She's a soft voice and, just look like she just been held in a basement or something like that. So we going and talking, and immediately she goes in about all the hard things I had done in the previous relationship. So me, ignorant, I never considered all the previous, because I'm like, hold on, in between time we were single, you've been dating.
Yeah.
I'm thinking especially because she got her lick back.
Yeah.
She got her lick back. And I mean, call me what you want, but I still feel to an extent, once you get your lick back and you even the score, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like you went and one of the guys, and I don't know if she slept with him or nothing like that, but it was one of my homies. She knowingly did this. I did that to make you upset. She went for guitar lessons and learned everything she needed to know in one night. I was like, okay, well, my chest hurt just like your chest.
Learned everything you needed to know in one night.
And yeah, the women do that. I remember my ex did that, dated a coworker of mine. Like, now, me, I didn't give a shit. Like I remember this one. Like, I've told this story before. I literally took her on a date, to take her to the date. Like, she called me up and said she dating so and so. She could send me the picture of him. I'm like, and I'm looking at, oh, that's my coworker. He was a cool dude. I didn't have no issues with him. He was on second shift. I was on third shift. We would talk. We were cool. We were cool with each other. I ain't had no issues with him. So she's like, yeah, I'm going on a date with this guy. I'm like, okay, well, look, you pay for my gas, I'll take it. This is me, your friend. I ain't give a shit. Friend mode. So so I pick her up. I take her to the bookstore where they will meet. I go chill. I go stay at the bookstore. I go to GameStop. I go do whatever. She calls me up, date over. I'm like, okay, cool. Pick her up, take her back to her house. She paid me my gas money, and I'm about my business. Then she tell me about the other dude she dating, and yeah, I smashed him too. I'm like, okay, not my problem. So eventually she did ugly tell me, like, yeah, I was trying to get you jealous and you didn't give a shit. I said, no, I didn't give a shit. I left you. You didn't leave me. I left you. So whatever you do is just you. That's not my problem. So you thought that you was gonna get me jealous, and that's not gonna happen. I don't care. I'm gone. I left. I'm doing me. I think, was I dating at that time? No, I wasn't. I wasn't even dating. I was just living, minding my own business. I was trying to get my health in order and all that. So I was like, I didn't care. That's you. You want to get with it, do whatever. That ain't my problem. So that's how that went. It's crazy. But women will do that. And I can understand what he's saying. Like, okay, I cheated. You got your lick back. You want to make me feel okay? We done with this. So what's the problem? And again, you talking about the whole other relationship, which I think Faith and them was trying to get on. I'm like, dude, again, they both were doing their own thing. They were cheating. They weren't even cheating. They weren't in a relationship. They were doing their own thing. So what's the problem? But she had feelings for him. Okay, but again, she participated. I don't I don't see what that's not his concern. And I was he seems so callous, and I'm like, he's telling his damn story. What do you want him to do? Cry all over the damn thing? And I bet you, if he would have cried during this whole part of the interview, they would still think that was fake. So it's like he can't win either way. So my thing is, yeah, I'm just gonna tell it straight. Straight, no changes. Now they believe it, they don't. If they don't, oh well, sucks to be them. But I don't. And like I said, they put way too much on him than what. And again, she never told him anything. She never said nothing until now at this counseling session. She blows all this up in his face. I'm like, and again, I don't think that's very fair. So to me, I can see why he didn't want to continue the counseling. She's just blowing up in his face and he can't respond, which is fucked up.
But I'm like, you wasn't bad for doing that. Anybody would be, first off, on time, and then secondly, to make me, you know what I'm saying, my chest hurt just like hers did. Yeah. All right, cool. So when we in this counseling session, back to here, 2017, she going in, and I'm in the present of all the things I've been doing. This is the first time I've come this hard for the relationship ever. And, financial aspect and the security. I'm got down on one knee. I can't do no more than what I've done. But she talking about me like I'm a dog. And the only thing that exists is all the negatives. I ain't done a single positive, So he not only allowed her to say that, he said, now you got this hard voice with me already. I ain't even said nothing. You don't say a word. Not until y'all come back on another session. So it was tough because I'm like, man, my feelings are obsolete the moment that she talked. And then she crying and everything. So I get it. But I'm like, man, this ain't it for somebody who already deals with shame, wounds, abandonment, all this other stuff. We did do like one more session. And in that time, I found out she was texting the personal trainer under a woman's name. She had been searching them on Facebook. She had lied about some other stuff. So after that, bro, and she went and said some things that weren't true in the counseling. I didn't want to go no more. You just say, I'm not going. No, because I felt like, you're not even approaching this genuinely. And at this point, I was questioning if I wanted to go through with the marriage. I was about to ask you, so y'all still, but you didn't end the engagement. Didn't end anything. A big repetitive pattern of, I'm pissed, I'm detached, I'm mentally checking out, I'm going to show up as a worse version of myself, but I ain't letting you go. So that's a little bit of ego, it's a little bit of abandonment wounds, whatever you want to call it. We both didn't let each other go.
Yeah, and that does happen in marriage. I know I was doing that in my marriage. Like you're afraid to leave. You don't want to start over, and you've been with this person, but you're not being who you needed to be. I mean, that's just and that's sad again. But we do this because we don't want to let each other go, but we want people to suffer. We want people to feel our pain, but when it's time to let go, we don't want to let go. No, I want you to stay, even though they hurt us. I need you to stay, but I'm going to take these. I basically being like you being nailed to the cross and you taking all these whippings. But I'm doing it for the benefit of the relationship. No, you're doing it because you feel guilt, and you're doing it because you don't want to let this person go. because you're afraid of starting over, or you afraid, or you if you got children, you're afraid that you lose your children. It's like no, it's best to let the shit go. I've been through this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to continue in a relationship where we both suffering. We're making each other sick. No, one of us got to cut the cord. One of us got to go. And I said, I'm going to go. Because it's no point. And we just taking a downward spiral. You know, it's just no. I'm like, no, I'd rather go. So, and again, I have empathy for him. I understand his feelings. But then I don't have sympathy for him because he could have avoided a lot of this. He could have just shouldn't have married her, shouldn't even try to marry her. Because again, she was never going to be the Danae that you felt that you deserved. Because she was never that Danae. The real Danae is the one that was pulling away from you. The real Danae was the one that was hostile. That was the broken Danae that you didn't have the tools to fix. You never had the tools to fix. And because you never had the tools to fix her, it just festered and festered, and now it's out like this. And I gotta say, for this counselor to do that to the guy, bruh, that is kind of fucked up. I do agree that you let the other man talk, because if you're gonna listen to both sides, there's two sides to this relationship. You can't just be focused on one side of the relationship. Because then now he definitely ain't gonna open up now. Like, you need to see how he's going. Even if you think he's wrong, you need at least need to understand his point of view. And if you're not trying to do that, then what's the point of this counseling session? If it's going to be pro woman all the time, then what's the point of him going there? That's why some dudes do say, "I don't go to count. Why should I go to marriage counseling? If it's going to be just they're going to take her side, then it's like, what's the point?" You know, and this is sad. I'm so I need to talk to D Darrell about that. This story, does this happen a lot? And maybe it don't, maybe it do. But and if this did happen to him, he, do he have any like recourse or anything like that? Because that does sound very bad. That you're gonna let her ban, and I get you want to let her get it out and get out her stuff because she the one hurting. But I'm like, dude, if you're gonna see the why of why the relationship went the way, you do need to hear both sides. But that neither here nor there. Let's keep it going.
No matter how much we was detached.
That's interesting. I wanna stop part one right here because when we come back, I want to talk about when y'all decide to go through with the marriage and then what happened and what got us here at this point. Listen, make sure you tune in tomorrow.
Okay, so that's part one of the interview. We'll go into part two next time. I probably need to cut this up really, because man, it's like 3 hours. But what I gathered from all this is that again, he was in a no-win situation. He was dealing with a broken woman. And you're dealing with a broken woman as a 19-year-old. I don't care if he was the best guy ever. He still had no shot at a normal relationship. This was doomed from the start, and it wasn't on his end, it was on her end. Initially, I'm putting all the blame on her because she was broken. She got raped. She's doing all this stuff. She was not ready for a relationship. And then she put all her problems on him. Now, like I said, he didn't make it. He didn't do her any favors, but he was immature. He felt rejected, and I know some people are going to be like, after him, I don't believe nothing he said. Okay, you ain't got to. But I understand because dealing with a great victim, I understand the problems that come with it. Dealing with a woman with PTSD, dealing with a woman who's been abused. I know how that goes. And I know that it is a struggle to be in a relationship with a person who's dealt through all that. And to deal with that person when you have no idea that's going on, it's even worse. And that's so, like I said, I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm not even saying that he was a saint. I'm not saying that he was misunderstood. But again, I gotta look at the whole totality. She didn't tell him about the rape. She didn't tell him about her daddy issues. And you brought that onto a guy who's very inexperienced with women and dealing with relationships, serious relationships, not fucking, just serious relationships. And yes, he handled it very poorly. He handled it very poorly, and you know, and even though he's trying to make up for it, you can't make up for stuff. Sometimes you just gotta let stuff go. Cannot make up for everything. You cannot, and you especially can't make up for stuff that you didn't do. Cannot make up for the fact you got raped. You cannot make up for the fact she had daddy issues. You cannot make up for the fact that she went through your phone while y'all was separated and up there looking at all these women. You can't make up for that. You can't the only person only thing you can do is get a therapist and she deals with it on her own. She got to heal on her own. You cannot heal her. I don't care how much foot rubs. I don't care. You put all this money together. She never healed. She was never healed from the jump. And she just let everything pile on. And then she just blew up. The best thing Derrick should have done was just leave. And listen, co-parent. That's the best thing to do. You're just gonna have to co-parent. And if she did try to take your child, you should have been. You was making 7 figures. Go to fucking court. Put the people in her life so she wouldn't take your child. And if she violated, she would be put in jail. And you could go see your child. That's what you should have been doing. You can't make a relationship work with a broken person. It's just not gonna work. Especially a person who's not getting help. Even with help, it's difficult. Without help, that person getting help, it's nearly impossible. Then you add his problems, the abandonment issues, the no daddy syndrome, that affects a lot too. So it's just like a compound of it's just two broken people coming together, and and a lot of it is just coping. All I hear is coping with the fact that our lives are not where it needed to be, and we're clinging to each other, hoping that each other, we can have a better life because of the other person, and that never works. So, black men in particular, don't use a woman to cope. Get yourself healed, and don't sacrifice yourself. Try to make this woman better. You cannot do that. If she has issues in her life, make sure it stuff like this, like she pulling away from you, she's getting angry, upset. Listen, and she's not telling you nothing. She's openly hostile. It's time to leave the relationship. Don't do the cheating stuff. That's just going to make it worse. Don't try to be her enabler. Leave. Just leave. Be a friend. Be supportive. Be the friend role. Be supportive. Tell her to go get counseling. Get some help. You don't marry someone who's never got help. It will never go anywhere. And if you're dealing with somebody who's been great, you have to you gotta really sit down and talk to yourself and ask yourself, can you really deal with this? Get some advice from people who's dealt with this, therapists. You got to talk to somebody about this because again, this is something that is beyond you. When someone is broken, it is beyond you to repair them. If God, a lot of times, can't repair this person, what you as a normal human being going to do for a woman? And let's not even take it to the women. Let's talk about friends. You got friends who are broken. You cannot heal them. If God can't heal them, what makes you think you can? I'll give you a perfect example. There was this young white boy. I mean, his daddy did a number on this boy. Literally, this boy was his daddy's cum dumpster. And I hate to be graphic like that, but that's really when my boss, when I was working at this group, told me that's literally what he was, a cum dumpster for his dad. And this kid would read the Bible. We would give him religious stuff, but when he got angry, oh, he was like the devil. And also, like my first day, like one of my coworkers at the group home told me, "Hey, you can't leave that boy by himself with other boys." I said, "Why?" Well, before I worked there, he got caught sucking another dude's dick on the couch. And CPS had to come in. It was a big mess. Now, this kid, religious, loved the Bible, all kinds of stuff. He got mad. He turned into the devil. This is the kid listening to God, but he's still the devil. You got people who are broken. You cannot fix them. Don't listen to these dudes talking about women and your savior. She's your better half. That's bullshit. That is fucking bullshit. And that's how dudes get caught up. The woman is not your better half. You supposed to be better before you get with a woman. And she's supposed to be better before she get with you. You are two wholes coming together to create something better, not two broken halves trying to be home. You'll never be whole. You're just a broken mess. If she is broken, help her seek counseling, help her seek therapy, be a support, but do not be in a relationship with her unless you are mentally prepared to deal with the issues that come with that. If you're not mentally prepared to deal with that, you need to get the fuck out of there. Especially if you're a young man hearing this, do not engage with a woman who's never got help for rape and stuff like that. Be a friend, seek counsel, help her seek counsel. Don't engage with her past that because you're just going to cause another wound. And it's never going to heal. She's never going to heal with you. You're going to be her enabler and you're going to keep her from healing. She needs to heal. Help her heal. Once she gets some healing, then you can see if you can try to get that relationship going. But if not, you need to stay as far away from her as possible because there's going to be problems. Big problems. And you bring a child into this world with her, now you're going to have bigger problems. So it's best. You see a woman broken like that, you need to leave her alone. Encourage her if you care about it. Encourage her. If you don't care, bounce. Just leave. Don't even attempt to have sex with her, because that can cause problems. You have to avoid these people at all costs. And if you do care, get her some counseling, but still keep it at a friend level. Be a support. Help her get that counseling. If she chooses not to do it, then hey, you gotta move on. It's just the way it is, man. You don't want to be connected, or you end up in this kind of mess. And don't do marriage out of obligation. Do it because you want to. You actually want to make her a wife, and you want to build a family. Don't do nothing out of obligation and duty. It will turn to resentment and hatred, and you don't want that for someone that you truly care for. But anyway, I am out of here. This is 3 hours long. I'm probably trying to cut this up because I think it is a little long. But anyway, thank you for listening to the replay. Appreciate it. And black men, remember, be powerful or be powerless. The choice is yours. Y'all have a good one. Peace.